librarian and convener of this e-conference, welcome you in on one-day ICSSR WRC Mumbai sponsored national level e-conference on academic libraries in COVID-19 pandemic, organized by College Library and in collaboration with IQAC. Honorable dignitaries were gathered on virtual platform. Principal of this college, Dr. Subhash Sawant sir. Keynote speaker, Dr. Sarika Sawant. Assistant Professor, SHPT School of Library Science, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Resource person, Dr. Neeraj Kumar Singh. Deputy Librarian, AC Joshi Library, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Another resource person, Dr. Meghna Sanjiva, Librarian, Vivekananda Education Society's College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai. Faculty, staff members, students, and most importantly, the library fraternity present for the e-conference. I sincerely welcome you all again. Dear friends, we have been going through the days of lockdown and new normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic for the last 2 years. Today also we have not yet completed. Today we have also not completely out of this situation, and the fourth wave is knocking the door. Due to this pandemic, all of us had been confined to work from home. It was initially very hard to digest the concept of work from home to the library fraternity. Librarian without library cannot even imagine himself. Somehow we have started tackling the situation. The main aim of academic libraries are to support faculty members, students, research scholars to meet their curricular and extracurricular activities. A significant change is marked in the field of library and information science for the first couple of years. The changes are radically shaping libraries in their forms and functions. Therefore, to address various issues and problems faced by academic librarians during the COVID-19 pandemic, to ensure healthy discussion among LIS professionals regarding future initiatives, and to discuss the best practices in academic libraries pandemic, this particular conference is organized. Today, we have with us three eminent personalities in the field of library and information science. The views and their knowledge will definitely benefit all the participants. Once again, I welcome you all. Now, may I request to Principal Dr. Subhash Sawant sir to present welcome note and also inaugurate the e-conference. So, Dr. Sawant sir.
Hello sir, mic unmute. Sawant sir. Hello. सर आवाज येत नाही. अनम्यूट करा.
हॅलो
सर येतो आवाज, बोला आता.
हा मोरे सर आवाज पोहोचतोय ना?
येतो सर.
ओके सर्वांना नमस्कार. Honorable Shri Abhijit Hekshette, Chairman of Navnirman Shikshan Sansthan, Dr. Sarika Sawant, Assistant Professor, SHPT School of Library Science, SNDT Women's University, and the guest of honor and keynote speaker of the e-conference, Dr. Meghna Chanjiva, librarian, VS College of Arts, Science and Commerce College, Mumbai, and resource person of the e-conference, Dr. Neeraj Kumar, Deputy Librarian, AC Joshi Library, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and the resource person of the e-conference, librarian and library assistant of various colleges, teaching faculty, colleges, and my dear student. I, Dr. Subhash Sawant, principal of the college, welcome to all this one-day ICSSR WRC Mumbai sponsored national level e-conference organized by college, library, and associate with ICSC. Dear friend, our parent institute Navnirman Shikshan Sanstha established this college in 2001 in Dodamar with noble intention of imparting higher education in the youth of open region, with a strong belief serving the society and improving the quality of life of the rural youth in particular. Dodamar is the youngest Tahsil in Sindhudurga, Maharashtra state, separated from Sawantwadi in June 1999, having only 56 small villages in his area. Geographically, the Tahsil located in the lap of Sahyadri mountain range and touches the border of Goa and Karnataka state. Hence, large part of the Tahsil is remote and hilly. As it is rightly said, paddy and poverty to get together. People of the Tahsil belong to the economically weaker section due to poverty, remoteness, scarcity of transport facilities, and lack of awareness. The youth of Tahsil had been away from higher education. The student has to travel more than 50 kilometers from degree education. But this institute has listened their suffering and brought higher education at their doorstep. Now the institute has been incessantly providing higher education to the youth of Dodama Tahsil, an adjacent village of Goa state. The institute is affiliated to the University of Mumbai and offer undergraduate program in arts, commerce, and science, hospitality management. It is a short NAC accrediting and has been included under UGC 2F12V, irrespective of the economic adversities and geographical remoteness. The college consistently focus on the co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities for the student. Their participant library is also known as a abode to knowledge. Academic library remote role making students read and contribute the student intellectual development. Our college library going beyond more, issuing the books, also constant the conducting various activities to inculcate reading culture among students. Apart from this, it also brings together library factor to have discussed on the current scenario of library and information science. In this present e-conference, we have with us three destination scholar who will throw light on topic academic library in COVID-19 pandemic. This webinar will surely be knowledge enriching and the intellectual feast of everyone. I declare that inauguration of this e-conference is took place. I once again welcome you all and give you my best wishes to conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for inaugurating and presenting welcome note. Now, may I request Dr. Sopan Jadhav, sir, co-convener of this e-conference, to introduce our today's keynote speaker, Dr. Sarika Sawant, madam.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to all. I'm Dr. Sopan Jadhav, co-convener of the seminar. Welcome you all again. Today, we have with us Dr. Sarika Sawant as a keynote speaker and the guest of honor. And I'm here to introduce her. Dr. Sarika Sawant is an assistant professor of SHPT School of Library Science, SNDT, Women's University, Mumbai. She's an assistant professor there since September 2004. She completed her Bachelor's in Library and Information Science from Shivaji University in 2001. And she has completed her master's from SNDT Women's University in May 2002 and obtained her PhD in 2010. She is a research supervisor for PhD. She has been guiding at present 4 students. One of her students has been awarded PhD and one other student has submitted her PhD thesis. She has 42 international and national publications to her credit. Her publications are in high impact Scopus and WS index journals such as Journal of Academic Librarianship, OCLC Systems and Services, Program, Electronic Library and Information Systems, Library High Tech, Annals of Library and Information Studies, Collection Building, etc. She was a principal investigator in 3 research projects funded by various government funding agencies. She has received 303 citations for her publications, 1 collaborative book project for BRICS countries, edited 3 conference proceedings, and 44 papers published in edited books, seminars, conference proceedings, and deposited 44 preprints of conference journal papers in electronic LIS repository, archived 44 presentations in SlideShares, which has more than 2 lakh views as on date. She is a recipient of various awards and honors from prestigious institutions. She has received $1,000 from US federal grants for the department to conduct a series of webinars on media and information literacy. She has invited as a panelist on behalf of South Asia to participate in a panel discussion on the occasion of ALA National Library Week organized by REPS in US Embassy. She has received ARL USA Attendance Grant Award on behalf of Asia Pacific to participate and present a research paper in IFLA, a topmost LIS conference held at Columbus, Ohio, United States of America. Dr. Sawant has successfully done 17 certificate courses from Coursera and one on understanding open educational resources from Commonwealth of Learning. She represents on various committees of university as well as served 25 times in her capacity as organizing secretary, organizing committee member, rapporteur, etc. of various conferences and seminars. She is associated with 16 universities of India in connection with lectures, training, assessment, and PhD referee. She is on the editorial board of Sage Open International Peer Reviewed Journal and guest peer reviewer of Journal of Academic Librarianship. Dr. Sawant has delivered more than 121 expert talks on various topics such as research publications in journals, copyright issues, publication misconduct, open access resources, ICT tools, and so on. So, dear participants, today we have with us Dr. Sarika Sawant, such an eminent, dynamic, young academician. I, on behalf of the college library, and all the participants, I welcome Dr. Sarika Sawant for this e-conference on academic libraries in COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you. I over to Ramkishan More, sir.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for introduction. Now, may I request Dr. Gathade, sir.
Hello.
यांचा परिचय करून घ्या. Hello. Now, may I request our keynote speaker, Dr. Sarika Sawant, ma'am, to start the session.
Thank you very much for such a profound introduction and a warm welcome. I'm very happy to deliver the keynote speech for this today's auspicious e-conference. And I wish all the best to the organizers for organizing this such a good, or I can say, a good themed conference, and definitely it will be benefited to the librarians, those who have joined today's conference. Let me first share my screen. Please, someone enable me. Post a disabled participant screen sharing. So someone should enable. Okay, I believe that my screen is visible to everyone. Okay, so my today's talk is about open access resources before, during, and after pandemic. In my today's talk, I'm going to talk about what is open access, what are the different types of documents that comes under open access resources. I am also going to talk about what is scholarly communication and what is the problem with the scholarly communication. And then I will highlight what exactly happened with open access publishing, or I can say open access resources. Before pandemic, what was the situation, and during the pandemic, what was the situation of open access resources, and what is going to happen now after this pandemic gets over. Okay, right now we have not closed, we cannot officially say that our pandemic is over. We're still waiting for some another wave to come, but still we are ready for that. So after that, what exactly is going to happen, that we have to think and discuss. Okay, so this is a very good platform for all of us, all 100 participants, as well as those who have joined via YouTube should participate actively in this particular discussion, so that our conference is we can say that it's a successful conference if there is some fruitful discussion comes out of it. Okay, so first, just for a sake, I'm just going to cover about what exactly is open access publishing. As everyone knows very well that open access publishing movement that started almost 25 years back. For us it is 25 years, but for physicists, physics scientists, computer scientists, it started much in 1980s only. Okay, but for all of us like librarians, this movement is going to complete 25 years. And in this 25 years of journey, we have understood, we have refined, we have clarified our doubts about what exactly is open access, what type of resources that are coming under open access. Okay, so the publications that are basically free to all the interested readers and publishers, place no financial or copyright barriers between the readers and the article. Okay, so this is something very interesting that has been defined very well now. Since I did my PhD on this topic in 2010, I registered for this topic in 2004. I was reading about this particular topic in 2004, and that time also the concept was not clear. But in this particular 15 years, 17 years odd journey, this concept has been very well refined. Okay, so now we can say what exactly is open access, and we can say what exactly is not open access. Okay, so I can say that in another words, open access is the name for free digital full text scientific and academic material made available online. Okay, it's free. Okay, but it's not free to produce. Please keep that in mind. Okay, there is a money, there is a funding involved in entire creation of these open access documents. Okay, it's free, it's openly available, it's not free to produce. Okay, so there is a price tag also involved with this open access publications. Okay, they are digital, definitely they are born digital because they are after 2000, so they all are born digital. They are full text scientific and academic materials that are made available online to everyone. And I can say that because of this open access concept, we are alive, all those who are listening to this particular conference, right? Because we all have witnessed that the material, that COVID related literature was available openly, right? Open accessible. You can say commercial publishers were providing free access. I can't say that open access, but they were providing free access. And that is why we all are, we could do the advancement in the development of the vaccine, and that vaccine could come and we could get the vaccine, and we are now fighting, or I can say that our body can fight with this kind of virus that is really intruded and changed the entire world, right? So I can say that open access really played a very important role in today's the day that we are witnessing. Okay, and the concept of this open access came along with the license also. Okay, that is called as open licenses. Means this open access does not brought us material, but also gave a different view of thinking one kind of document in a different way. Like how we used to say that all copyright means all rights reserved. Okay, but the concept of all rights reserved to some right reserved is also because of this open access movement. Okay, and that is why we can now exchange our material, our research material that is generated by a researcher or academicians in their entire academic journey or a research journey. We can exchange, we can deposit, we can give, we can retain the rights, whatever the type of different type of licenses that we can apply to our material that we generate, and we can exchange with without fear. We can share with entire world. Okay, and definitely less licensing restriction as compared to the commercial publishers. Okay, so basically I can give you the examples what exactly open access publishing for a teacher. Like I'm a teacher, see, I'm writing notes, I'm making handouts, I'm making PowerPoint presentations, I'm writing papers. Okay, so whatever material that I'm right now generating, okay, I'm developing, is called as open access material, I can say, because for every material which I create has a Creative Commons license. Oh, I use open access, open license for my material that I generate. Okay, and I deposit on my own personal website. I deposit on uh, e-archives, or I can say subject archive, that is ELS repository. I deposit with the F1000 PPT. I deposit with the Publons. I deposit with the SlideShare .net. So what I'm trying to do is whatever material that I'm generating in my journey as a academic teacher, I'm trying to distribute with the proper license, that is open license, to the world. Okay, why? Because whatever material that I have created, that should be shared with others so that they can utilize what the material or what documents that I'm creating in my entire this academic journey, so they can get benefited by this. Okay, so the syllabus also, syllabus that is of our library science department is can also be a part of open access document. So anything, not necessarily only the journal articles, they are part of the open access publishing, but anything that is been generated by a researcher or a teacher or a lecturer in their journey, that can be counted as a open access document. Okay, or open access resources. There is another term that is called as open access educational resources. Okay, so what as a teacher, what I will be developing, that will be the open access educational resources. The videos that I have created and uploaded on my YouTube is also open access material. I can clearly say that it is an open access educational material, because it is for my students, for my fellow librarians to understand the concept, have the clarity about the topic. Okay, so that is what this type of documents are generated. See, I just explained you about me as a teacher. There can be a scientist who was working with the NCL or NIO, right? And that person is working on one particular research topic, and then there will be experiments running in the laboratory. So laboratory notes, okay, their experimental readings, everyday readings, and their outputs, and what exactly they are doing. So everything, all this research data is also available publicly, can be made available publicly for the on their particular website of the particular institution. Okay, and this is exactly what all the researchers throughout the world are doing. Okay, especially in case of pandemic situation, definitely researchers, especially biomedical researchers, they kept their not only the research article but also the laboratory notes. Okay, their day-to-day readings, also their experiments, their failures, their success, everything they have kept it on their own websites, as well as even the commercial publishers website, so that everyone who is doing research in case of pandemic should get benefited by that. Okay, and again, keep that in mind, all those materials are coming with the open license. Okay, so this is about one journey of a researcher, I can say, or scientist who is working in one of the institution. So these are the type of documents that are being created. Okay, so let me just give you the brief overview about history, that what exactly happened in this particular journey. See, there are three significant events took place in 2002 and 2003. Okay, so the Budapest Open Access Initiative, then the Bethesda Statement on Open Access Publishing, and the Berlin and the Declaration of Berlin on open access to knowledge in the sciences and the humanities. These are the two significant events that took place in these 2002 and 2003 years. And in this particular years, in these declarations, what exactly is a declaration? Declaration means there are the statements being made by the scientists who are the topmost scientists, you can say Nobel laureate scientists. They came together, they signed one agreement, they made some statements, and they took the oath saying that whatever material that has been generated in their journey as a teacher, as a lecturer, or as a scientist, as a researcher, they will keep it accessible for the public. Okay, so that all general public can get benefited by their research. Okay, so the concept here is that the research that is publicly funded, that is from the publicly funded money, should go to the public. Okay, so here is the scholarly communication cycle that I will just give you briefly, that what we exactly do as a researcher. Okay, see, I am a teacher, but still I am a researcher. You are a librarian, still you are a researcher. So there is a researcher in every person. Okay, so when how that research ideas generates in my mind, first what I do, I read some articles, I get some ideas, then I feel that, oh, there is some gap, there is some lacunas, there is something has to be done now in this particular area. So I pick up that particular area, I write as a proposal, I submit that as a proposal to the university. I complete I get some suggestions from the department research committee, RRC, supervisors, my colleagues and all. Okay, so finally I make my final proposal, I work on my proposal, I do my data collection, data analysis, I submit it to the reviewer, and then I get means that degrees awarded to me, like PhD degrees awarded to me. So this is what exactly happens in a researcher's life. Okay, it's a spiral, it's a cyclic procedure. So when I complete my PhD, what I do next to that, that I write article based on my research which I have done. Okay, and I publish that article with the findings of my research as well as further suggestions for the research. Okay, along with it, and I publish it in the journals, right? And someone somewhere in the world reads my article based on my research, right? PhD, and that person gets idea to do something related to that topic, and this spiral goes on. Okay, someone picks up the idea, do the literature review, then write the proposal, then do the research, something like that. Not necessarily in form of PhD, but in form of minor research project, major research projects, etc., etc. Okay, so this research process goes on and goes on, right? So in this process, what happens, that we write the articles, we do research funded by the government, right? And then we write that article and publish in the journals which are highly paid. Okay, you need to pay a lot of money to get those journals, right? As you all librarians must be knowing how much money you spend, right? In crores you spend money to for the subscription of the topmost journals in the science and engineering faculty, right? See, humanities and arts may not be very costly journals, but definitely medical sciences and engineering, they are all very costly journals. So what exactly is happening here is that me as a researcher, I am doing research, my research report, which I have published in the topmost high impact factor journal, I'm not able to see it because my library cannot afford to read that article, subscribe that particular journal. Okay, so I cannot library cannot afford to have that journal for me, so I cannot read my own article which has been published in the journal. Okay, fine, that I'm getting one copy of my printed copy, or I can say a hard copy also. I nowadays journals have stopped sending the hard copy, but still hard copy you can have, you can keep it with you. Okay, you can share it with the your colleagues, but not people far away from you. right? So this is the hurdle, this is a problem in the scholarly communication. Okay, so this is the biggest problem was identified in those 2002 2003. There were a lot of brainstorming sessions took place among the researchers, topmost scientists in the world, and they felt that the research that is been publicly funded as not reaching to the public. Okay, so the public, general public, or the people, researchers, scientists, they must read what has been published based on the publicly funded money. Okay, so this problem was identified, and then the scientists all over the world, they started to get some solutions to the problem. Okay, so we identified this problem, now we should get some solution to it. Okay, so what is the solution? Okay, so solution is this, that we need open access, we need open access in this forms. Okay, so what the this initial phase in 2000, after 2005 till 2010, okay, there were a lot of discussions took place, and then we came to know that there are many ways we can provide open access to the material that we generate. Okay, generate in a journey of a teacher or in a journey of a researcher. Okay, so there are basically different ways of providing. First is a golden route, that is called as directly publishing your articles in open access journals, right? So there are plenty of good high impact factor, good journals, open access journals in every field. They are happening, they are available. I am here talking about only the open access journal, those though their motive, their they had some mission, okay, to have the open access journal. I'm talking about only those. I'm not talking about blacklisted journals. I'm not talking about predatory journals, right? Those who are taking money and publishing any kind of paper which are submitted to the journal without any peer review. Okay, so I'm talking about open access journals. Those are they take author processing charges. And let me tell you here why journals, open access journals, are taking article processing charges. See, again, as I said, that it's free, but it's not free to produce. You need money, right? So if you have some journal online available, you need that server space on a server, you need some space to maintain that particular journal. Okay, you can imagine that if the biomedical journal article having a lot of images, so the size of that article will be not less than 20 MB. Okay, 20-25 MB. So imagine one article is of 20 MB. So how much space you require on a server, how much money you require for the maintenance. So accordingly, the journals calculate the long-term longevity of the articles and the journal sustenance in the future, and the size and the type. Accordingly, the amount is taken from the authors. Okay, so it may be some, but it may not be such a low price for the biomedical. Okay, in one of the slide I will show you that how much money are taken by the journals, okay, for making it publicly accessible. Okay, so one is concept is open access journals. They are born open access journals, means they have a they on this mission of open access publishing, they have been developed. Okay, so and you will able to find such a open access journals in the DOAJ, that is Directory of Open Access Journal. And then what about hybrid journal? Hybrid journal means all these commercial publishers, they felt that it's a threatening movement for them, like open access movement is a threatening for them, because if people start publishing their articles in open access journal, who will submit article to their journals? If people, topmost scientists, are not submitting article to their journal, then who is going to buy their journal? Okay, so entire cycle will get collapsed. Then this commercial publishers, they started giving one offer that is called as article processing charges. Means they were asking authors that you pay, say for example, $2,000, and then your only article will keep it free of cost for entire world. Okay, so people can see, access your article. So this is called as hybrid journal. I will not promote hybrid journals, but definitely I will promote full open access journals. There are other ways that you can publish open access, give open access, that is green route. That is the institutions can have their own repositories. They can then the teachers and the scientists can deposit the articles on their repository, in their repository. And what can be reposited is that the preprints of the articles. For example, if I written an article that is my best version of my article, now I'm going to submit that article to the journal. So that particular journal, that particular version of the article that I submit to the journal is called as preprint. So most of these commercial publishers, they allow preprints of the article to get deposited in their institutional repository, as well as open access repository, as well as authors personal web page or a website. Okay, so they allow, so you can check the policy of that particular journal in the Sherpa Romeo website. Okay, so this is called as green route, and which is really important. And again, in my another slides, I will show you that how important now because of this pandemic, preprints are becoming important. Okay, then next type is a diamond route. So in diamond route, what happens that article processing charges are not taken. Okay, see, these journals are supported by the institutions, societies, or something like that. Okay, or maybe government funding they receive, so they don't need money to run the particular journal or even ask for the article processing charges, APC charges. Okay, so such type of journals are there where you can submit your article and publish your article. Then I would like to mention it here that there are some myths, means there are misconceptions about open access in people's mind. Okay, that open access means it is open for some readers only. No, sorry, it is not only open for some readers, but it is open for entire world. Okay, it is not restricted. Open after an embargo period means article will be free after 1 year. Like in biomedical journal, this happens, right? The previous archive you can freely see, or you can read articles, you can download, but may not be the 1 year earlier articles, you may not get it. Okay, because recency is very important in biomedical sciences. Whatever is a recent research that is been valued, okay, and that has been referred in the literature. So this happens that after 6 months, 1 year, or maybe 2 years, the archive is freely available. So sorry, this is also not applicable to the open access, right? In open access, there is no embargo period, means immediately after publication, your article is free of cost, available to the entire world. So this means it is open for immediately after it gets published. And again, it is open for a limited time. Sorry, again, this is also a misconception. It is not open for limited time. It is for entire means the whatever website or the repository that has been maintained by that particular website or that journal or that particular institution, it will go on. Okay, still the way you maintain it will definitely be there in the on the web. Okay, so it's not for a limited period. So now let me start with the what exactly happened, okay, before pandemic. I will just narrate here the situation. As we know very well that there are like OA button and all, like there are so many repositories in the world, right? Institutional repositories are there. There are open access journals are there. You can there are open access books are there. You can go to the DOAJ, DOAB, as well as Open Door to find out these all repositories, right? Plenty of literature is available via these 3 avenues. Okay, that is DOAG, DOAB, and Open Door. So in 2016, Welcome Trust. The Welcome Trust is one non-profit organization who does funding for the research, right? All over the research in various subjects they fund. So they made one statement on data sharing in public health emergencies. Imagine data sharing in public health emergencies. This statement they had made in 2016. This is available on their Welcome Trust website. Now it is called as Welcome only, not Welcome Trust. On that Welcome website, you can find out this. And that statement was made that there were many statements in this particular statement, and they were talking about that the research has to be now publicly available for the uh, enhancement or the improvement in the health sector. Okay, so and they had given some ideas also that this has to be available via open access journals or repositories, and these are the repositories where people can deposit and all of. Okay, so this statement had made, and this statement had there were 27 research organizations in the world. They had signed that agreement at that particular moment in 2016. Okay, 27 research organization had signed, so that they had signed for what, that they will keep their data publicly available. Okay, so 27 research organizations in the world. But how drastically the situation changed in 2020. 160 organizations signed the agreement because of the pandemic. See, 27 to 160 organizations worldwide, they signed the agreement, and then they took the oath that whatever research that is happening, especially in the public health sector, will be made available to the public. Okay, and that was something very huge step that took place. Means Corona made everyone realize that how open access is important. Okay, in one of the article it was mentioned that 2 trillion amount is spent through $2 trillion are spent on research and development. Okay, and by all countries, I can say almost 170 countries are spending 2 trillion amount. And in out of this 2 trillion, how much India is spending? India is spending 1,500 crore. Okay, and for what? Research and development. So whatever CSR laboratories we have, ICSR and UGC funding for the R&D is about 1,500 crore. Okay, and what is the output of that $2 trillion? That 2.5 million papers, research papers, are published in the scientific journals. Means the research that has been done, that research is converted into the research paper, and research papers are published in the journals, scientific journal. And where these scientific journals we are publishing in the commercial publishers. Okay, high impact commercial publishers. Again, we are not the culprits. Okay, we the teachers, we the researchers. Why we are publishing our articles to these commercial publishers? Because it is mandatory for us to publish our articles, right? In India, for even our promotions, that APA, right, academic performance indicators, we need articles to get published. We need articles to get published in high impact factor journals, right? So our promotions are based on it, not only in India but also in the other countries. Okay, it was there in the other countries only. Okay, so if they have more citations, then they will get the promotion. If their article has been like altmetric is now the situation, right? That if their article has been discussed in various media, then definitely their promotion is pakka. Okay, so our promotions are based on these journals articles that we publish, right? So we are not the totally culprit people who are publishing. We are purposefully we are publishing to the journal because it is mandatory for us. Okay, the moment government lifts this mandates from publishing articles in the commercial publishers, there we will not publish articles in the journals, but we will definitely publish in the open access journals. Okay, so this is the situation that before the pandemic, that we were spending so much of money. And you can imagine that in 2017, the 5 largest academic publishing houses, that is Taylor and Francis, Elsevier Science, Springer, and Nature, right? And their turnover was 19 billion. I mean, see who funds the research, who does the research, who publish the articles, and who review the article, who is editor of the journal, and who is earning the money, right? We are the only one. We are doing research. We are writing articles. We are the only peer reviewers of these journals, right? And who is earning money? The publishers are earning the money. Okay, so this definitely came into the picture, limelight, I can say limelight. And here in this particular situation, you can find out that Lancet Global was charging 3.65 lakhs, okay, for the open access to give open access to their article. So article processing charges of Lancet is 3.6.5 lakh, and which is really beyond imagination of our Indian researchers, or for Indian person or Indian biomedical researcher, right? And Nature is charging, imagine, $11,000. Okay, Nature Research. Okay, and Cell is also one of the biomedical journal which charges almost $10,000. Means I'm talking it here about hybrid journals, right? The commercial publishers, they felt that this is an opportunity to earn double money from the authors by selling the journal as well as by taking money from the authors for their particular article, so that their article will be kept open accessible. Okay, so this is what the situation means. Commercial publishers made a benefit of them by asking for the processing charges. Okay, there was a draft policy came in the 2020, just before the pandemic. Okay, our science, technology and innovation policy came, and that was by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And what they discuss in their policy is that one nation, one subscription. Okay, so what does it mean? That entire country like India will subscribe only few journals. Okay, like here is the number given, like 3,000 to 4,000 high impact scientific journals will pay. Means we'll do the negotiation, we'll do the negotiation with these high priced commercial publishers, and then we'll have only one nation, one subscription. Okay, but imagine just 3,000 and 4,000 high impact journals, but how many journals are published? Basically there are 40,000 journals are included in the Scopus database. Imagine, out of 40,000, we are just going to pay only for 3,000 to 4,000. And this is not the solution. This is definitely not a solution, that one nation, one subscription. Okay, because here money is involved, and these commercial publishers, they will not definitely give you any relaxation. Okay, they may give some unwanted journals, which may not be required for us to use in our day-to-day research journey. So this is what is going to be, okay, in this particular policy, draft policy that was given. Again, during the pandemic, okay, we were what happened during the pandemic? In pandemic, all commercial publishers, they declared that whatever articles related to COVID, okay, will be made publicly available. All those journals are completely made publicly available for the pandemic period. Okay, and almost I can say that more than 5 lakhs articles were released by the journals, okay, as free of cost, okay, for people to view. Okay, see, this is what the I think Springer had done one particular research, and based on that my statistics are okay. What Springer had mentioned about their journal, their experience, only one journal publisher's experience is that they were receiving 20 articles every day, and every single journal, okay, 20 articles they were receiving every day, because there was a lot of research on corona was happening. So there were a lot of people simultaneously writing articles and submitting to the journals. Okay, and there was a lot of burden on the publisher's side. Okay, and even peer reviewers also. But many of the articles they were turning down, means they were rejecting. Why? Because the authenticity of the data. Okay, so from where the the research is coming, means what are the research lab notes, so that they can confirm, peer reviewer can confirm that whatever the findings of this particular article is correct or not. Okay, because it was happening so fast. So this is what the Springer had this experience, that they had receiving so many articles every day. Simultaneously, in open access scenario, what was happening, that preprint servers were there, definitely institutional websites were there, institutional repositories and open access journals. Means scientists was publishing their articles via all these methods. Okay, so during this we were doing, right, definitely. But something came out in this pandemic, is that new publishing model. Okay, why new publishing model? Because now there is some concept of called open peer review. Okay, so why open peer review? Because uh, the research is happening so fast. Okay, and there is a lot of material is being generated. Okay, and now people, and again altmetrics has also changed the entire situation of the articles. Like, even I like to see my articles from the annals, that how many downloads of abstract and full text has been happening. Okay, because this data is available on annals journal. So I'm interested to know what my article is, people are talking about my article. Okay, what are the what discussion is going on about my article. Okay, so this particular situation has really changed the even the peer review scenario, or we should now move on to the different model of publishing. Okay, or peer review model. uh, till uh, till this period, till 2020, we were relying on the traditional models of single blind review, double blind review, right? But now we should move on to the something different. Okay, and which should be applicable for all type of articles, not necessarily only the journal articles. So this is my point, is that this has made us to think about different publishing models, as well as different peer review model also. Okay, so not necessarily only the corona related material was made available, but also there was something called Oxford Compendium of National Legal Response to the COVID-19. Okay, again this Oxford had developed this particular website where all the entries, all the articles, all the research article, I can say, related to the public law, institutional adaptations, public health measures, social, labor policy, human rights, all were getting updated on this particular compendium. Okay, so that suppose some lawyer wants to know some information about the situation, that someone some it happened with someone, some other country, so that person, lawyer, can get the help, legal advice, not advice I can say, but at least some examples that person will get it from this website, so that it will help his or her client to file the court case or something like that, if there is a total violation of human right happened with that particular person or that client of that particular lawyer. Okay, so something this also really generated, and this is really important website, I can say. As you all of you know that Sci-Hub, we are still using Sci-Hub, right? Because it's not an authentic site that librarians recommend, but definitely Sci-Hub is definitely been used by the people. Like 85 million full text research articles are available. Okay, I cannot say a gray or a black area, I can say black market, I can say, where we can find all those million articles. Okay, so the owner of this science Sci-Hub, a lady, okay, from the Kazakhstan, maybe somewhere from that place, she gave an interview where she mentioned that the daily users by 20% were increased. Okay, everyday traffic was increased by 20% in this pandemic period. Means scientists all over the world, they were not only accessing the articles from the commercial publishers website, but they were also accessing articles from the Sci-Hub also. Okay, and in the during the lockdown, the people access articles about the coronavirus 10 to 100 times more than, okay, the articles that is of other diseases. Okay, so this was a situation of the Sci-Hub. Then there is a institution called Research on Research Institute. Okay, they conducted a research study on scholarly communication, and they found out that most of the COVID-19 research articles have been made open or a free access. As I said, that open access journals so definitely was providing access to the corona articles, but also the commercial publishers. Then the one thing that Research on Research Institute observed is that preprints were less. See, I tell you that there was so much research was going on and people was writing articles like anything, okay, to the journals, but they were submitting the preprints of the article less as compared to the amount of articles were published in those period. Okay, so this was lower. This kind of thing was lower. Preprints amount was low. Okay, there was a lot of pressure on the peer review system. The rejection rates was high because of the quality of the data that is provided by the researchers. That is what they observed. And then they observed that their new norms of peer review has to come out. Okay, now we should not rely on the old models of peer review. Then different stakeholders jointly made a strong commitment to open sharing of COVID-19 research results. Okay, and but there seems to have been a less ongoing collaborative working in ensuring the commitment was implemented. Means there has to be some collaborative work that has to be done. Okay, so that means not necessarily only for the COVID-19, but also the collaborative work should come forward and people should publish such type of articles also. Then again, in this pandemic, observed that there are different type of documents are coming out. Okay, in the open access publications, I can see they were simple summaries also. There were some interactive videos. There were infographics came in the existence. Then the podcasts. Okay, the content in the form of games and polls also. Okay, like game of how to have the hygienic condition, how to maintain a hygienic conditions. There were games, there were polls also regarding that. Okay, there were podcasts also. There was interaction with the public figures and the domain experts, like interviewing kind of. Okay, so this kind of literature also poured. Okay, and this pandemic helped to broaden the horizons of the open access publishing. So this is something new came in this pandemic. Even there was simultaneously happening was a JATS XML, means journal article tagging system was got improved. So it's a XML publishing standard that was improved, that was came into the existence, so that different type of documents apart from articles will get will have the metadata fetching takes place properly. Okay, otherwise what happens, we have only DOIs, we have mostly journal articles, so that their metadata get fetched very well, right? So their storage and retrieval takes place very well. But what about apart from the articles, I mean apart from the journal articles, what about those documents? Okay, so this JAT system XML publishing standard really will help us now to fetch the metadata of other type of documents also. So this is what the Springer had infograph about their publishing experience, okay, of 1 year experience of their publishing. So you can imagine that there were like 1.1 billion downloads, chapter downloads, just only Springer had experience, like 96 million article downloads they observed, and most of the traffic was from India, like 42% traffic was from India only, and then maybe the Europe, UK, Italy, and then even the Brazil. Means all those third world countries, they were totally taking the benefits of download. Like me myself downloaded so many books those commercial publishers made available free of cost or openly in this pandemic period. Okay, so we were really taking benefit of it. And then article published was like in 372,000, but in new COVID, almost 24,000 articles were published. 70,000 articles on coronavirus related articles was made free by the Springer. Okay, they had a 70,000 documents related to corona. Okay, so this is what the situation was in this particular pandemic. And then after this pandemic is getting over, or what happening. Okay, scientist institutions are doing agreement for the OA, open access. Okay, so what commercial publishers did, that they just made their database publicly available just for few period. Okay, few months, I can say 1 year. Okay, and only related to coronavirus, but still scientists need access to the material for larger period and for the larger type of documents. So what happened in University of California, they did some agreement, that they did a pioneering agreement, I can say OA agreement with the largest scientific publisher, that is Elsevier Science. Okay, so University of California will take will pay something for the this Elsevier, so their scientists from the California University will able to publish their article without article processing charges with the Elsevier Science. Okay, and entire Azure Science, the database will be made available to the University of California. So some kind of negotiations, some kind of dialogue is happening between now universities and these commercial publishers. Means थोड़ा वो झुक रहे हैं और थोड़ा हम झुक रहे हैं. Okay, ऐसा नहीं कि only the commercial publishers are there only for money. No, they are also understanding, they also want a market. Okay, and then it will be very important to evaluate the impact of temporary policy changes. There is a research going on that in this particular phase there was articles openly available to the public, right, by these commercial publishers as well as open access journals and preprints. This particular temporary this particular change, how it has made a significant contribution or a change in the scholarly communication or not. So this still this research is going on and we may get results soon. Again, this is a very significant step, I felt, and I just welcome this particular move by the Australian Research Council. What they did, see, we say na, just in the beginning I said that why I'm publishing my articles, because my articles I want it get for the promotion, right? So I'm writing my articles in the research article. I have deposited preprints of my so many articles in ELIS repository, but UGC is not going to see that preprints of the articles. They are only going to see how many articles are UGC listed that I have published, right? Sorry. So this is same situation for the other countries like Australia also. So what they did, they uncancelled 32 applicants who had disqualified. Okay, why? Because they had published their articles, deposited their article preprints in the repository. Okay, and they had disqualified, saying that your articles are not published in the journals, only you have kept your preprints in the repositories. And now they realize that how important are preprints also. Okay, so now the different countries are now going to think about how they can review the preprints also. Okay, why we value research articles? Because they are peer reviewed, they are authentic, they are good quality, वगैरह वगैरह. But preprints are also good quality. So now people, these all giants, I can say, or these topmost universities, they are now going to evaluate, they are now going to devise one mechanism to review the preprints also. So on the preprints basis also, the applications can be invited or promotions can get granted. Okay, so this is what happening, which is really important. Okay, but now what? Okay, see, we, in case of these infectious diseases, public health, we entire literature was made available. But what about climate change? These are all significant important research areas, right? Like climate change, mental health, infectious diseases, like even economics, poverty. These are the all important problems that world is facing. Okay, so now the scientists are thinking that we should locate the important problems that we are facing, and the repository or the literature related to that should be made publicly available, so that the fast research should take place, and we should overcome with the problem. Like climate change is a problem that we are facing since so many years, and in this corona we saw this problem, and we came out with a solution immediately because it was life threatening. Climate change is also life threatening. It is a slow poisoning kind of. So the research has to be made publicly available even in these important areas. So scholarly journals would continue to exist. Okay, definitely scholarly journals are going to be there. Means there is a big threat to the commercial publishers, fine, but what the scientists, Nobel laureates of the world are saying is that we should uh, keep these articles free of cost in the open access journals as well as in form of preprints. Okay, and what let commercial publisher to do what? Curating of the literature. Data curation is a very important step that should be done by the journals. Okay, and not by the just controlling the money or the controlling the amount of research that has been happening. Okay, but just curation, that is the part that they can do. Means these commercial publishers, they can do. Okay, and let the original research articles published on in the preprints in the open access journals, on the researchers website, on the researchers repository or something like that. And let commercial publishers or the publishers do some different tasks than this what traditionally being done by them. Okay, so this is what my point was about. After pandemic, what is the situation and how this open access archives and the entire altogether game has changed. Okay, entire this corona has really changed everything I can say, right from the human behavior, human relations, to the scientific studies and scientific avenues and everything. So that is what was my today's topic. I hope I have given some thought for you to think about that and contribute your articles in the open access journals. These are the articles that I referred, websites I had referred. And thank you very much. And this is the award-winning photograph by one photographer. This 85 years old lady who was a corona patient, who received a hug from the her nurse, and that was captured by one photographer and got a award for this particular. So we really, all researchers, need a hug to this open access movement, so that we will not face such type of situation in the world. Okay, so that is my message to all of you. Thank you very much for your patient listening to me. I'm stopping my screen. We can have some questions, or we can move ahead with our next speaker. I hope next speaker will highlight the libraries and their point of view. Okay.
Dear participants, do you have any questions?
If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Okay. No question.
Thank you,
Hello,
sir, praising the presentation.
Sir, ma'am, I have a question. Could I ask?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. It was indeed a exhaustive and thought-provoking presentation. Thank you for that. I am Madhuri Kumari. I am from the Central University of Gujarat. I am a research scholar. My question is that when we talk about, yes, sir.
Hello.
Could I proceed?
You can ask your question.
Okay, my question is that when we talk about the open access articles or open access model, we eliminate the price of barrier of in the point of consumer as a reader. We are not burdening the consumer, but the barrier is shifting towards the author, because high article processing charge are levied on the authors. So could you think that it is a shifting of cost from the user or consumer to the author, and it is not a good move accordingly the open access movement? What is your take on that?
Thank you very much for asking such a valid question. I'm definitely going to answer, but even Meghna Sanjeva madam will also answer this question more elaborately. What my point is here, that article processing charges which are levied by commercial publishers, they are like okay, you have to just make a request to the publisher saying that is there any chances of waiver for this particular article processing charges or not. Then let them have some solutions for you. Okay, so this is always a problem, this is always a misconception about this article processing charges, is that you have to pay. It's not like that. You can make the provision from your funding that you can keep some amount for the publications. That is one possibility. Second possibility, that you have to check with your institution whether this institution has any kind of affiliation, any kind of association with that particular uh, publisher or not. Second. Third, being a third world country, researcher from third world country, we also get a waiver from the publishers end also. You have to just make the request, little request to the publishers. And what you said, that the money that we are supposed to pay, like librarians are definitely paying money to the commercial publishers. Along with that, they are getting money from the authors also. So it's not shifting, but they are getting double dipping. It is called a double dipping. Okay, they are getting more money. Okay, but from a researcher point of, what if you ask me, I can say that you have to just make a request to the that particular journal, saying that whether is there any possibility of getting waivers or something like that. You will get any kind of such type of help also. Okay, just you have to make a request. Definitely you will you will get succeeded. And that is why the now all universities, all those Nobel laureates are now keeping all their articles, preprints or their research data, everything on their own institutional repository or on their own website. Okay, because they have taken an oath now that they will not publish their articles, first hand article, in the commercial publishers. Okay, they will keep it with their own institution because their institution is publicly funded. So this particular this policies also we have in our India. Okay, CSR libraries, especially CSR libraries have this policy. All the research which is happening in the CSR laboratory will go in their institution's website. Okay, so it's happening, slowly happening, but because of this corona, it will take it will trigger fast.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Could I proceed the last statement you made, that we are taking oath towards the keeping our article open access? It is, and if we take the definition of impact factor ranking system, it is in the science sector, it is a de facto definition of that a reputation of the journal, and many new open access journals are not having high impact factor, and they are compelled to publish their article in the commercial or high index journals.
Yes, yes.
So this is a contradictory, and it is I think that now there should be a credibility or metrics should be defined for the open access journal that shows the credibility of particular open access journals.
Yes, yes, true. Now every means that every researcher has to take this concept forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the answering.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for such a nice presentation. Now, may I request Dr. Sopan Jadhav sir to propose vote of thanks.
जाधव सर.
Hello. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarika ma'am. Your presentation on open access resources before, during, and after pandemic was really very good, highly knowledgeable, highly informative, comprehensible, and all inclusive. And definitely all the participants will get benefit of it. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your views with the participants, and also I'm thankful you have spent your valuable time with us. Now I'm here to propose a vote thanks of the inauguration session. I, Dr. Sopan Jadhav, on behalf of Navanirman Shikshan Samsthas, Lakshmibai Sitaram Halve College of Arts, Commerce and Science, would like to thank first of all ICSSR WRC Mumbai for providing us financial assistance to organize this particular e-conference. I'm also thankful to the keynote speaker and the guest of honor of today's e-conference, Dr. Sarika Sawant, for sharing her views on the topic she has been given. I'm also thankful to the resource persons to whom we will be listening to after in the plenary sessions, Dr. Meghna Sanjiva and Niraj Kumar Singh sir. I'm also thankful to our patron, Shri Abhijit Hekshete sir, Chairman Navanirman Shikshan Samstha, for motivating us, encouraging us to conduct such events, academic events. I'm also thankful to Dr. Subhash Sawant sir, principal of the college, for encouraging and guiding us to conduct such seminars, e-conferences. I'm thankful to the librarian, the college library, internal quality assurance cell of the college for conducting such events. I'm thankful to all the participants here, library fraternity, faculty, students, and other participants for being virtually present here to this e-conference on academic libraries in COVID-19 pandemic. So with this, I declare that the inauguration session of the e-conference is over. And for plenary sessions, I hand over my charge to Dr. P.D. Gathade sir. I request Gathade sir to proceed. Thank you. Hello, Dr. P.D. Gathade.
Yes, sir.
Over to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. सर आवाज आ रही?
Hi, yes,
Hello.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible. Yes, sir.
वीडियो स्टार्ट नहीं हो रहा है सर, तो भी चालू करता हूँ. कीनोट एड्रेस के बाद इस सत्र के जो हमारे प्रमुख है, सर आवाज है तो ना?
यस सर, यस सर.
हेलो,
आवाज येतो सर, क्लियर बोला सर. फक्त व्हिडिओ
सर, यस सर. कंटिन्यू.
कीनोट एड्रेस के बाद इस सत्र के जो प्रमुख है मेघना संजीवा जी, आज इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में पहले सत्र में बहुत अच्छा मार्गदर्शन सावंत मैडम ने किया है. तो इस सत्र के मेघना संजीवा जी, सर्विसेस एक्सटेंड बाय लाइब्रेरीज ड्यूरिंग पेंडेमिक, इस विषय पर अपना पक्ष रखने वाली है. डॉक्टर मेघना जी का यहाँ पहले महाविद्यालय और कॉलेज की ओर से, संस्था की ओर से मैं स्वागत करता हूं. और मैडम जी का अल्प परिचय अपने सामने रखता हूं. 1998 में SNDT यूनिवर्सिटी से मैडम रैंक होल्डर है और इसी साल से विवेकानंद एजुकेशन सोसाइटी के कॉलेज ऑफ आर्ट्स, साइंस और कॉमर्स कॉलेज में लाइब्रेरियन के पद पर कार्यरत है. 1999 में मैडम ने सेट और नेट दोनों परीक्षाएं पास की है। 2019 में मैडम ने पीएचडी की उपाधि भी प्राप्त की है। मैडम का एक माइनर रिसर्च भी पूरा हुआ है। 10 शॉर्ट टर्म कोर्स, 14 रिसर्च पेपर का पब्लिकेशन, 7 सेमिनार कॉन्फ्रेंस का आयोजन, ऐसा काम भी किया है और अपने काम के बलबूते पर 5 अवार्ड भी प्राप्त किए हैं। आज मैडम सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट, मिशन नॉमिनी और एसएनडीटी यूनिवर्सिटी के एग्जाम में भी कार्य करती है। इस तरह से मैडम ने बहुत सारा काम किया है, तो मैं मैडम जी का फिर से स्वागत करता हूं और अपना पक्ष रखने का अनुरोध करता हूं डॉक्टर मेघना संजीवा जी। हेलो डॉक्टर मेघना मैडम जी।
आवाज नहीं आ रही मैडम, आवाज नहीं आ रही मैडम, आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी।
मैडम आवाज, मैडम
अनम्यूट कीजिए जी।
मैडम आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है मैडम। थोडे सर त्यांना आवाज जाणार नाही आपला, फक्त त्यांचा please-
नाही मॅडमचा आवाज येत नव्हता सर, काय प्रॉब्लेम आहे?
सर त्यांचा म्यूटचं अनम्यूटचं ना नाही व्यवस्थित झालेलं आहे, ते बघून घ्या। ते म्यूटचं बटन आहे ना वरती वायफाय व्हेरिफिकेशन करून घ्या साऊंडचं।
नाही माझ्याकडे तर अनम्यूटच आहे। आता म्यूट केले त्यांनी।
कॉल करा, म्यूटचं बटन नाही का?
मैडम हेलो
हॅलो, आता येतोय आवाज?
क्लियर मॅडम, ते आवाज क्लियर आहे। व्हिडिओ बनव ओके।
Thank you and sorry. Thank you to all the organizers for this invitation, and I really congratulate the college for organizing this webinar on a theme which is very appropriate. And as we discussed that we are still not out of the pandemic now. So it is very important to take the lessons that we have learned from the pandemic and proceed further. I'll just share my screen before I begin. Is it visible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's visible.
So the topic that I will be covering today is services extended by academic libraries during the COVID-19 pandemic. As I proceed with my agenda, I have divided my presentation into 3 sections, where in the first section I will be discussing about the various services that libraries have extended in the COVID-19 pandemic, what we at our college have specifically done, a very small baby steps of course, and what insights we have gained from this 2 years that we are in the pandemic, what insights we have gained and how we have to keep in mind while we are doing all our planning for our future requirements with respect to library. So this is the basic three simple sections in which I will be proceeding with my presentation. As I outline my presentation details now, we will be covering about the library and COVID-19 as a background, then how the various communication channels opened up. The basics that we require for providing any services in library are the collections, and this itself was a very big challenge. Coming to the services in specific, then we conducted a lot of trainings and webinars all over the world. We have seen that how these have helped all of us. And it is with these new technologies that today all of us are on this virtual platform organizing e-conference, one in Mumbai, one in Chandigarh, and others in Sindhudurg. Sometimes there are issues with having computers and internet at home, the problem of space. As I have again mentioned that we had no previous training. But in spite of all these limitations, I can really say on behalf of the entire LIS community that we have made very good efforts to provide good services to our users. The first thing, and what was the most essential thing, was to open up communication channels. Because we were not in a physically same building or a same location, it was very important that we have good and open communication with our users, that is our teaching staff and our students. So we were accessible throughout them. You know, as librarians, we were accessible with email, WhatsApp, phone calls. But what served as our most important point of contact was our websites or library portals. Many libraries may not have had initially library websites or portals, but many libraries redesigned their websites to give maximum information during this time. They integrated chat and ask librarian kind of services within this, so that the communication was two-way, it was open, students could feel free to connect to the library and ask their difficulties. So with these kind of queries pouring into us, we got a lot of insights into what our users currently require. It was very important. See, as it is, we had a very standard practice. We knew what time, what would be required in the when we are operating in our library on a regular basis. But this sudden shift, where even the teachers were not fully aware about how they could go about, they required support from us. We had to extend that support to our students also. So through these queries and through these interactions, we got a lot of insights about what was required for both of them. So then we started linking our special services that we were trying to offer through our websites. We tried to share all government guidelines, WHO guidelines from. It was because providing authentic information has been one of our prime objectives when we are serving in the library. There are a lot of research support tools. Now what happened is, during the pandemic, there was a lot of research work which was already done, but teachers were not having time to put them in a proper framework of a research paper. Teachers utilized best of this time for doing this along with their regular workload. So a lot of research publications also were coming. We just saw Sarika madam mentioned about the research productivity during this time, and we have seen, so it was the prime responsibility to put all this on the website so that it was easily accessible for the users. Then we also used social media to some extent to communicate with our users. So by all these different ways, we actually established a free and an open communication channel so that we could really understand what our users wanted, and we could also give them what they wanted by opening up various communication channels. As I mentioned, the basis of all the services is our basic collection. All our services depend on our basic collection. Now for libraries which were hybrid already, it was just a matter of extending the access and training their users. See, even though everything is already there, it happens that when the user needs it, only that time they will take up that training or take up that matter bit more carefully. So for them, those who had the resources, it was not a big issue because it had to just, they had to extend the services, take continuous sessions and train their users. So those who had remote access services, VPNs, they saw that many more users enrolled. Otherwise, what was happening is users were using the electronic resources on the IP, that is within the campus. So within the campus, they used to get the resources they were using, but very few were still taking benefit of the remote access platforms that were available for the institutions. Where there were only IP-based access available, people implemented remote access solutions. So today in market, we have so many remote access solutions which are available, and now it has become like it is a must. So if you have e-resources, you must have a remote access solution also. At the same time, libraries tried to explore various options. What other resources they could really make it available to their user community. So publishers also in this regard came forward. They offered trial access to various resources. Of course, there was a business agenda with that, so that they could really make it accessible afterwards, after a few days, with a subscription. So OA came to the rescue of all of us in a very big way. We have seen a very detailed presentation, and we saw that all the open access resources became more prominent. They were promoted in their individual institutions, and researchers and students all used open access resources day in and day out. We also have seen that how COVID-19 resources were made available openly by all the publishers. This really helped a lot in accelerating the research that was going on in this area. So if all of you remember that, we were also very careful when we used to bring vegetables from the market, when we used to bring anything outside, we used to keep it in quarantine. So many different theories were coming out. Some of them were fake also. We tried various ways, some kadas, some hot water and steam and so many things, and so much of it was coming out. Some of it was really genuine information and some of it was really fake information. So all the COVID-19 resources were therefore made available so that research in this direction would be accelerated and we could all come out of the pandemic safe, after researchers could have really given us good concrete solution. And vaccine was really one of them that we have seen. The earlier time span for making the vaccines was more than 10 years, as they have reported always. But we have seen that in this COVID-19 pandemic, we could get the vaccine in 1.5 years time from various makers. And that really the credit of that goes to the open access publications. And that is a very well documented fact. So we have to know the power of what open access is. And as librarians, we must always promote open access in our respective institutions. A lot of these libraries also got in having digital versions of newspapers and magazines. So they could really provide their own resources, electronic resources. Yes, print were locked for certain time, but they tried various ways by which they could reach out to users. The problem was where the libraries only had print collection, but they still had to find their way out. You could not just sit and say that my collection is locked and now I have nothing to give to my users. So here I mentioned the power of OA, open access resources, and open educational resources, which we have always been telling our users, but very few have been really taking or making use of it, came to our rescue, and we could really give some alternative titles to our students, that instead of this book that you are using, this book, you can try with this book. There are so many open access resources that are available, and we could connect to our users. So this was very important. We tried to curate. What we tried to do is we tried to curate a lot of resources which are freely available, bring them together and give it to our users. In same way, there were a lot of projects going on in a large scale in the world where such kind of curation was already happening. Our National Digital Library is one of the best examples that also all of us have really used it during the pandemic a lot, and we have understood the wealth that it has. So similarly, at international level, the Internet Archive had a project called National Emergency Digital Library, and the Hartley Trust had a similar project called Emergency Temporary Access Service. With this background, we struggled, and we tried to give our users something to begin with. We tried to curate resources. We tried to make our resources available in this way. But at the same time, we also explored new options. We tried to see how we could get into e-collections, how we could buy e-books, how we could change our subscription of journals from only print to print plus online, so that our users could get this at this point of time. So this was really an eye-opener for all of us at this point of time. And that's why I've been saying that we have learned a lot of lessons from this pandemic. So coming to the services. So when the teaching shifted online to having some learning management system, all of us also became, very well aware of the learning management system. And we were supposed to contribute some learning material into each of the classrooms. So we tried to keep the material ready, and then we used to post it to the various classrooms in the respective institutions that all of us worked for. Then support for research was really required. So we helped the students and the teachers with a lot of literature search, similarity checks. So because there was a lot of publishing going on, lot of everywhere in the world, you can see that a lot of papers have been checked for their similarity. Researchers started using various tools. So as mentioned, that curating of information was very, very important. And that was, I think, one of the very, very important service that all of us were trying to do and make it available. We were also, bringing to front the MOOCs, the various courses offered. So for limited time, Coursera was also not charging a few things. So all such things that freely, whatever was getting available, as librarians, we made them available to all our users. All MOOCs we brought to the notice. Whenever there was an announcement on all the platforms that we generally see, Coursera, Udemy, Swayam, and all others, where we saw that some certifications, very good certifications are available, then we could, bring it to our users' mind. So all libraries did all these kind of things where they brought all this to notice. There were several tie-ups that platforms like Coursera and all had with universities, which facilitated their faculty and students take up these programs. So these were also things in which I think many a times the librarians were instrumental in bringing out this information to the notice of their authorities, and then signing these kind of agreements with these MOOC platforms. So because of which those certifications came at a very good, reasonable pricing for the institution. See, the course is free, but the certifications we have to pay for it many times. So in such cases, at that point of time, there was a lot of discounts, and there were a lot of better agreements that these MOOC platforms also offered. So librarians brought to the notice of all this, and they were instrumental in making these available for their user community. As librarians, we have always worked with information literacy, and there was really a big need to do this because there was a lot of information. There was an information overload about the pandemic, about the treatment, and about so many other things that was happening. So it was very important that as one of the very important service, we educated our users to identify misinformation. It was a very, very important objective that we helped our users identify misinformation, and improving information literacy of our students has always been our primary agenda. And with this pandemic, we realized that there was so much of misinformation that came into picture. It is not that it has come into picture now. Misinformation always existed, and it existed sometime out of a purpose. They wanted to misguide people. But now we got so many tools that we understood there are various ways. Google also improved so much of its fact check. So there are various fact-check websites which we brought to the notice of our students and our user community. Publishers opened up a lot of resources. At the same time, publishers conducted a lot of training sessions. So they conducted training sessions about writing a research paper, how to use a specific database, what are the factors that you will consider while choosing a paper, what are the important metrics that one has to look on. So, but there was an hidden agenda always that they wanted to promote their products. But right now, this was a win-win situation for both of us, where as users, we also learned a lot of things through their publishers' sessions, and they could also market a few things. So arranging these kind of sessions, especially for your institution, for your college, these were also a few things that the librarians have done throughout the pandemic. Populating the institutional repositories. You know, there was some kind of things that take a backseat sometime when there is a routine work so going on. So during this pandemic and realizing the importance of open access, faculty also came forward. There are studies which have shown this. They have come forward and shared, considering all the basic requirements of whether they can deposit their paper, considering the Sherpa, Romeo, all the agreements. Then they have started populating. So this was also one of the important tasks taken up. I have also come across papers where, you know, many of the libraries have been able to establish their IRINS network, that is the research networks, convincing faculty to have ORCID IDs, so author identity as an info. So all this kind of training that happened from the library was also which happened during this time, during this COVID time. A lot of such kind of work also happened. So self-service models, we had also to think of what virtual alternatives we could really give to our faculty. So wherever possible, that kind of things were also there. And we also promoted a lot of MOOCs, open access things, and that served as our primary, where there was only print resources in the library. All these things came to the rescue of the librarians and they could provide services. Training and online workshops, as I mentioned, it was really important, and all of you must have experienced that. All of us attended during when it was the full lockdown. We used to, you know, just be out of one webinar to the other webinar, but we really liked doing it, and we learned so much during this time. We could hear very good speakers whom otherwise we could really not hear, because for attending every single conference physically is very, very difficult. It costs also, but here everybody was very generous. We could really attend all the conferences, free, good international speakers, national level speakers. We could really hear during all this time. At the same time, we made similar efforts at our institutions for arranging such kind of programs on emerging topics, where we thought that these could be helpful to our fellow librarians. We tried to arrange all these programs. We tried to have a lot of training for our staff. We realized that not all staff can work in this situation because there is not adequate training there. So we use this time best. There was simple workshops for use of all simple tools, where we, you know, told our staff to attend those trainings. We facilitated their training. So during this time, this was also one of the very big things that we have achieved. And I personally think that what we have learned in these 1 or 2 years has been really a great learning. What were some of the innovative ideas and services that libraries also implemented? So a lot of development on websites and various mobile apps was already underway, and this was the best time that people made use and launched. And they not only launched, they got very good response on them. So digital bookshelves is something we can see that many libraries did this kind of activity, where they used to take up a theme every month or every fortnight, and on those themes they used to have a digital bookshelf where one could really, at the click of a button, they could read the books online. So it was one of the very wonderful ideas that we came across during the pandemic. As gradually as libraries opened, there was There people developed booking seats online, kind of a simple software with the help of their students, and they could implement social distancing and other things. Online newsletters, various reader advisory services, all these kind of innovative ideas. So many competitions, people took various competitions in this pandemic. And we have also seen that larger university libraries and archives started documenting the pandemic. How the pandemic, because we were a long time into the pandemic and we realized, and it is very important because history helps us learn lessons for the future. So the university libraries and archives, with their mission to document the pandemic with the aim to help the future generation, also started doing. So there were various innovative ideas that were implemented during this time. We have also seen and got the support from various organizations like American Library Association, our International Federation for Library Association, the IFLA, at the international level, who gave a lot of resources for the libraries and librarians to prepare themselves for the pandemic. We also had a lot of educative programs that were conducted by our own library associations in India. So all these together helped us to prepare ourselves to provide maximum services to our users. So when we realize that we are still in the pandemic and the pandemic is going to continue, we realized that we have to look at things on a long-term basis. So we have to look at our collection development policy. We have to look at how we can increase the digital content. So while we were at the end of 2020, we realized that while doing subscription renewals now, or while having a budget allocation, there is a lot of reallocation which we'll have to do. We will have to make many journals print plus online subscription, or do away with print subscription and only an online. So these were decisions that we had to take. We had to think on all these lines. Ebooks were not the preference of our faculty, our students in smaller colleges, and we did not have that in a large scale. But driven by this pandemic, we realized that there is a need to have at least some standard material ebooks available to all of us. So we tried to look at various models, and we were really overwhelmed by the rates, the various models of subscription and perpetual. We had our own problems of audit, of facing and explaining how a book can be in a form of a subscription and all, because everything was new, even for the level at the accountants. There were so many people who even came and said that we have been told that the library grant cannot be used for ebooks, but there is nothing like that. And all of us have learned all this over a period of time when we had to face this kind of channel. We also tried to implement various remote access solutions. World over, this was done, and most of the remote access solutions have done very well during this time. Long-term planning, as I said, is something that we really required to look at, because we realize that this pandemic is not going to end soon. It is a long drawn pandemic, and we will have to have reflections on our budget and plan accordingly. And therefore, there was also a need to train our staff and upgrade so that we could really work well again together as a team. When we were into the pandemic, things improved, and we again faced a different kind of a challenge of reopening libraries. We had to open the library with limited hours, limited services, but for that we had to do a lot of background work behind. I'm sure all of you must have experienced this. We have experienced anxiety from staff. We have experienced concerns about their health from them, students, how they would take up, how they would really handle, how they would follow the rules and regulations. So reopening of libraries was equally a challenge for us. And here also what we required was very good planning that we had to be done. So we had to manage the space, social restrictions, make SOPs, define protocols. Then we, some libraries also introduced service like click and collect. So they could just identify in the OPAC, reserve, and come at a specific time allocated by the library and come and collect the book. So every day, one library where I read about was saying that we issued only around 100. So we allowed only 100 users to come in and go out that day. So online seat booking, when there was physically, to some extent, these are different examples from various countries. So they did online seat booking where students could, so if your library reading room has a capacity of 300, you are allowing only 100 students to come and sit and read at various different time slots. Hygiene, handling of materials. See, we came across so many guidelines, quarantine books for 72 hours, quarantine books for 5 days, so on and so forth. And we were really at that point of time, we did not know what all to do. We kept big boxes where we asked students to drop the books. So all these things, they posed various challenges. So when it came to students coming, we gave them appointments on mail, tried to still continued with all the remote services because not all were coming. In educational institutes, there was this, students who have not been vaccinated could not come. So we had to continue with both our services simultaneously, that on campus, off campus, everything. So we had to ensure that everybody is safe and everybody recovers well. So these were some of the things that we had to really take care while we reopened the libraries also. And during those reopening, we also tried to be very, very careful and empathetic towards our users and our staff both. Just in brief, I will talk about what at VAS library we could do in this time. So we were absolutely a print-based library with only access to Enlist. But during this time, we completely revamped our library website. The work was going on initially, but a lot of open access resources that we added to during this time brought it to the front so that users could get it very easily. We integrated a chat box, which is a TWAC, so that students could put in their queries and we could answer them. So my assistant would answer queries that he could during that time, during the working hours or so, and then I also answered. And if the students put it at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, we could also see them at that time, and we could decide to answer them immediately or later, depending on what was the other schedule. So this is something which we did, and I think we got a lot of insights from this. Students felt that yes, we are there for them. It was a very good thing that happened at that point of time. We acquired a lot of ebooks from various publishers, national publishers, McGraw-Hill, international publishers, McGraw-Hill, Wiley, Orient, Black Swan, and also local Indian publishers like Eschand, New Age, because these were some of the books that were required by the students. They were standard references in the syllabus, without which nor could the teachers proceed, nor could we. So teachers at least had by that time started coming and they were borrowing one copy for themselves, but students, we had to make them available. So we tried, we acquired ebooks, some on subscription model, some on perpetual basis. A lot of decision making was required to look into all this. And we implemented the InFed system of remote access, which is a very good thing, which InfluPnet is helping all of us with. It really costs us nothing. We have to just make a Linux server available. I was fortunate to have a support at my institution, and therefore within no time, we could make all our ebooks, acquired ebooks, available very seamlessly through our remote access platform. And assistance to ongoing research projects, plagiarism check, literature search, all this was anyway going on. My experience, as I previously also shared, that we did a lot of our plagiarism check was almost 3-4 times than what we would have normally done, because many papers were in the pipeline and teachers got really time to complete some of them. We also could conduct several webinars during this time. And as I mentioned that we prepared SOPs, safety measures for library workforce. We really eased all the penalty rules, which I'm sure all of us have done it throughout. And we helped teachers with, and students. There were a lot of student projects. There were a lot of conferences where teachers encouraged our students to write. and we help the students in searching and their drafting also. So we tried to do various activities, and some of this, we also tried to use the pandemic time. Our stock taking, we have a collection of more than 65,000. So we have to do it alternatively, but this time we utilized and completed our entire stock verification. We bifurcated our collection as active and passive. We changed all the barcodes because we had put barcodes some 10 years back. So this was the best time to put it to use. So these were some of the things that we could really achieve in this time. We extended a lot of learning support through making all these open resources. Time and again, we were trying to bring these resources to the front and making students aware and making them use these resources. So we could, conduct a lot of online programs with our one institute called Institute of Chemical Technology, and we did a program on copyright, because understanding copyright at that point of time, this was just in July 2020, where almost the classes were going to begin and all. We thought that it was very, very important that the understanding of copyright is very clear right at the beginning. Otherwise, just sharing anything with students could lead to a lot of concerns. So we thought that was an important topic, and we conducted this webinar. Then we also, as we all, whatever we are discussing, that we were in the pandemic and we knew that we had to recreate, we had to build up the academic library again. So these were a few programs. Then we understood as we were going, we understood that the researchers are facing various difficulties, because this was where we very closely worked with the researchers. And we had one 7-day capacity building program for the researchers, which was about all the new technologies that we had. Further, this year also we celebrated Librarians Day for emerging technologies, because we have all realized that we have to adapt technology very, very fast. Now, E is no more a choice. It is imperative that all of us use e-technology, e-resources. Some of the insights that we gained through this being in the pandemic for 1.5 years is that our library space design should be modular. If it is very fixed to have these kind of social distancing, or even when we see that there are various needs of the users, sometimes they need to be in groups but still be away. So this kind of a modular arrangement is very, very essential. So this was one thing. When we had to open the libraries with restricted use, this was something that we have to keep in mind for future. E-collections, as I said, is no more an option. Acquisition of more and more digital resources is going to be imperative. I understand we all have budget constraints to a large extent, but at the same time, we have to also see how we bifurcate our budget in a way where we acquire some part of it, we allocate some part of it for e-resources. So libraries now are operating in hybrid mode. Even today, we have a lot of meetings which are online. Our users very well reach out to us on email, even if the college has reopened also, and we are able to support them. So virtual support is becoming now a norm. We can definitely see, even from Madam's presentation and from what we have experienced in the pandemic, that open access is the future for libraries. There is a large movement at the world level, global level, where the publishers, the scientists, everybody is trying to make things open. So we all have to embrace open access, and as librarians, we have to highlight the open educational resources. So I have a very small suggestion, which I'm trying to also implement it in my colleges. So we have become autonomous recently, and I'm really trying and suggesting that instead of the standard references that we are listing after every unit, I am really suggesting that at least we adopt one textbook, one open textbook for each of the topics. Maybe it's a secondary reference, maybe it's an additional reference, but that's how we can promote the use of OER. So this is something where librarians, when we are working together with our teachers, we have to highlight and bring forth these kind of OERs so that they are. So we in India, it is also required to bring down the unit cost of education. So this is our small effort in that direction. So with so much of digital technology that our users are using, their expectations are also risen, and they expect really Google-like and seamless services from us. Researchers have been doing interdisciplinary research, and therefore the research query has also becoming complicated. We also as librarians must be aware of various research areas that our institute is carrying, and we must help our researchers and our usual services like CAS and SDI still do not lose their charm, only their format has changed. But we need to be aware of what kind of research our institute, what is the strategic direction that our institute is taking, and we have to be well aware of the research that is going on in our institute and help our researchers. Again, the same basic principles of library science, providing services in anticipation, still hold good even now, and they are even very well appreciated today. We have to really reframe our spaces as hubs for new learning, and we have to concentrate on open resources. We have to curate data. We have to manage a lot of technology, and this is something that we have learned, that there is no denial. We cannot shy away from all this. We have to do it. It is extremely important now, because otherwise we will perish. The other information sources will take over the libraries, and we will never want that situation to come, because we have always taken up the transitions very well till now. It's not that this pandemic itself is one of the challenges that we have faced. We have faced several challenges before also, and we have been able to serve our users with the same zeal. And I'm sure that we will be able to do that even now, taking into consideration and marching ahead, taking all these services. We have to also be aware of the various dimensions, the changes in the scholarly communication system, where innovative practices by publishers are coming forth. We are also seeing how researchers are trying to make the system more and more foolproof by having an open peer review. Sometimes the articles are out on a preprint repository, then there are mirror journals. So all these kind of changes, that's something that we have to be aware of, and we have to help our users with this know-how, whatever that we can. So our services have to be specially aligned in the way that our researchers and our students want at this point of time. Whatever are the new skills and competencies that we have learned over in this time, using these platforms like Zoom, Google Meet and all this, we would have never imagined that it would be so easy for us to now work on all this. We have to complete a task, but somebody needs to go home. We say, okay, online meeting. We'll do an online meeting, we will finish, we will submit our AQR, we'll go through all this, then we will submit our NIRF report. So all these tasks, all these things, we have been able to do it very, very nicely now, and these skills and competencies, we have to continue enriching them even now. We have to also keep in mind that we have to provide inclusive services. We have to be aware of our understanding for copyright issues have to be really improved, and we should know about the Marrakesh Treaty and how we can facilitate access. So like in institutions where there are students who are visually challenged, they can have the provision to scan and send them. They have various softwares, but all this was not there when the libraries were closed. So we have to even look in from that point of view and have inclusive services. Okay, and library and website portal should be our single gateway for giving all the services. The future library will look very different, and Neeraj sir will cover all of it, that how the post-pandemic library should really look like and should what all have. But these, I thought from my experience, have been some of the important lessons that we have learned, and we have to, before we know how the library should look, we have to keep in mind all these lessons very well. And these are some of the insights that the pandemic has given us, and we should keep them as a base for understanding how the future library would really be. There are a few questions that we need to think, that we have provided services and met the immediate needs of our users, but what about long term? That is what we will look at in the future. What about long term? Going digital, we have done it at this time, but in the future, how to provide information in a networked environment, because institutions are also going to be more and more networked. So as our larger organization changes, we have to also change ourselves. It is very, very important. So these are some of the sources that I used for this presentation. And if there are any questions, I would take them up.
Dear participants, do you have any questions? If you have, please ask.
There may, since all of us have experienced this, and if anybody also would like to share something that they have really done, it would be good for all of us to hear it.
Madam. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, madam. Thank you for giving us a very valuable and very important session that you have taken in this seminar. I would like to first of all congratulate you, madam, and the organization that such a wonderful session they have taken in this pandemic situation. I would like to share one point, madam. You have highlighted all the points, but I would like to share my personal opinion, my personal work that I have taken in my library. I have 100 number of students registered. I'm working in medical government college at Nandurbar. My area is my college is in tribal area. That's why there is a lot of inconnectivity for that. I have launched one point QR code. Just small QR code, you have elaborate various type of information. I have made one QR code for examination paper, one QR code for catalog card, one QR code for subject list, that it is very useful in that pandemic situation. When the student come in my library, they want particular book of particular subject. I have suggest please please scan the QR code. If you want some particular book, first scan the QR code. If if the title is available in the library, we will access them. Just I have done one exam. Thank you for hearing me. Just I would like to share one QR code I have done in that pandemic situation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. It is definitely a very good idea, and I'm sure your students must be very happy with that. There was a query in the chat box about software for remote access. So the one that I mentioned that we are using, we have implemented, is from InflipNet, and that is definitely free. We just need to have a server at our end. So server also is no high-end server requirement. Any of our machine works, and they help us with the entire configuration. Our e-resources should be ready first. We should have our e-resources subscribed, and then we can make them accessible through the remote very easily. They, Mr. Raja from InflipNet, his team is very, very helpful, and they do all the configuration for us.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Hello.
Afternoon, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
चिकन बिर्याणी खाल्ली होती
Hello.
एवढं वजन बघितलं का एवढं वजन उचलताना आज इन्फेक्शन
Hello. Hello. Any questions?
Thank you very much for the patient hearing. And thank you, the organizers, for
Thank you, ma'am.
giving the opportunity.
It's our pleasure. Hello. Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. It was very informative. May I request now Prasadi madam to propose a vote of thanks.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. I extend a big thanks to you, Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, librarian, Vivekananda Education Societies, College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai, and resource persons of the seminar for guiding the present participants on services extended by library during pandemic. Your presentations on services, communication challenges, collections of e-resources, pandemic resources, online programming, very brief explanations, highly knowledgeable sharing views, and nice presentations on Meghna madam. Last but not least, I am thankful to all participants for brief virtually present to for this e-conference and making it successful. I once again thank you all. Now for the second section, I hand over the charge to Dr. Prashant Dhepe sir. I request Dhepe sir.
Okay. Thank you, madam. थैंक यू. अभी यहाँ पहला सेशन समापन उसका हो चुका है. दूसरे सेशन की हम शुरुआत करने जा रहे हैं. हमारा जो दूसरा सत्र है आज का, जिसका इस सत्र का विषय है पोस्ट पैंडेमिक फ्यूचर ऑफ लाइब्रेरी सर्विसेज, और इस सत्र के प्रवक्ता सम्मानित डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर, डिप्यूटी लाइब्रेरियन एसी जोशी लाइब्रेरी पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय चंडीगढ़ से जो हमारे साथ यहाँ पर जुड़े हैं. डॉक्टर प्रशांत ढेपे फ्रॉम हिंदी डिपार्टमेंट. मैं यहाँ पर हमारे जुड़े यहाँ पर शब्द सुमन से स्वागत व्यक्त करता हूँ. साथ ही डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर जो हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, उनका मैं सही से यहाँ पर शब्द सुमन से स्वागत व्यक्त करता हूँ. और हमारे महाविद्यालय के प्रधानाचार्य सम्मानित डॉक्टर सावंत सर, इनका भी मैं यहाँ पर स्वागत करता हूँ इस सत्र में। और आज की जो मुख्य प्रवक्ता है सम्मानित डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर, डिप्यूटी लाइब्रेरियन एस ए जोशी लाइब्रेरी पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय, इनका मैं यहाँ पर एक अल्प परिचय यहाँ पर करवा देता हूँ। उनका शैक्षणिक बायोडाटा काफी बड़ा है, लेकिन समय की पाबंदी को देखते हुए मैंने इसको थोड़ा शॉर्ट किया है। डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर यह वर्ष 2007 से पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय से जुड़े हुए हैं, जो कि वर्ष 2018 से डिप्यूटी लाइब्रेरियन के रूप में एस ए जोशी लाइब्रेरी पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय में कार्यरत रहे हैं। उन्होंने एमएससी केमिस्ट्री 2001 में रानी दुर्गावती विश्वविद्यालय से जबलपुर से उन्होंने पूर्ण की है, और वर्ष 2004 में उन्होंने दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय से मास्टर ऑफ लाइब्रेरी एंड इंफॉर्मेशन साइंस यह उपाधि उन्होंने प्राप्त की है। साथ ही उन्होंने पंजाब विश्वविद्यालय चंडीगढ़ से पीएचडी, जो इसका मुख्य विषय रहा कि रेडियो फ्रिक्वेंसी आइडेंटिफिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी एप्लीकेशन इन लाइब्रेरीज एंड इंफॉर्मेशन सेंटर्स ऑफ नॉर्थर्न इंडिया, इस विषय पर उन्होंने पीएचडी भी प्राप्त की है। साथ ही 2017 में ईस्ट लंदन यूके यहाँ कॉमनवेल्थ प्रोफेशनल फेलोशिप से उनको सम्मानित किया गया है। साथ ही 2012 में ईस्ट लंदन यूनिवर्सिटी यूके से उन्होंने अंतरराष्ट्रीय कोर्स आईसीटीसी यह कंप्लीट किया है। साथ ही सर आपने वर्ष 2015 में यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ कैलिफोर्निया सेंटर ऑफ यूएसए में इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस में ई लर्निंग और इनोवेटिव अध्यापन शास्त्र में उन्होंने आपके प्रेजेंटेशन किया है पेपर का। साथ ही आपको एमपीएलए द्वारा यूनिवर्सिटी लाइब्रेरीज ऑफ द ईयर इस पुरस्कार से 2021 में आपको सम्मानित किया गया है। आपने जो है केमिस्ट्री पोर्टल की रचना भी की है, इसकी डेवलपमेंट की है, इसलिए पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी चंडीगढ़ की ओर से आपको प्रशंसनीय सेवा पुरस्कार से 2009 में सम्मानित किया गया है। सर आपने रिपब्लिक डे के अवसर पर 2011 में इस अवसर पर पोर्टल ऑन हैंडलिंग हजारडोज मटेरियल के योगदान के लिए भी आपको तत्कालीन वाइस चांसलर के हाथों से सम्मानित किया गया था। साथ ही जो है सर ने ऑनलाइन बुक्स को दिए पेडागोजिकल इनोवेशंस एंड रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी नामक एक सॉफ्टवेयर उन्होंने तैयार किया है, जिसका उपयोग स्वयं और एमएचआरडी इस कोर्स के लिए किया जाता है। बहुत बड़ा सर का योगदान यहाँ पर रहा है। और साथ ही सर आपने नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल रिसर्च जो पेपर्स जो पब्लिश हुए हैं आपके 40 के आसपास रिसर्च पेपर्स यहाँ पर पब्लिश हुए हैं। तो सर का यहाँ पर एजुकेशन और उनका जो योगदान काफी प्रेरणादायी रहा है यहाँ पर। और मैं अधिक समय ले लेते हैं, समय की पाबंदी को देखते हुए मैं सर को यहाँ पर हमारे महाविद्यालय की ओर से उनकी भविष्य में उन्नति के लिए ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ। और सर से मैं निवेदन करता हूँ कि कृपया आज के जो इस द्वितीय सत्र का मुख्य विषय है पोस्ट पेंडेमिक फ्यूचर्स ऑफ लाइब्रेरी सर्विसेज, इस विषय पर कृपया वे अपना यहाँ पर व्याख्यान प्रस्तुत करें। सम्माननीय डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर। डॉक्टर नीरज कुमार सिंह सर कृपया अपना यहाँ पर व्याख्यान प्रस्तुत करें। हेलो हेलो
सर sir, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Now I'm audible. Hello.
Hello, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay, okay. Actually, the problem is I was trying to unmute myself, but it is saying that host is
Yes,
not allowed you. Yeah.
Yes, 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 sir.
Okay, okay. Anyways, so thank you very much, Prasanji, for very nice introduction about me to the participant, and very good afternoon to all of you. And before I will start my today's session, I would like to thank More sir, Sarita ma'am, and other organizing committee member for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to deliver talk in this today's national seminar. So today I'm going to take session on post-pandemic future of library services. I'm sure that previous speakers, they must have discussed about you with some open access and some other areas related to library services. But in today's lecture, what I'm trying to discuss with you that during this pandemic, we have experienced that when every institutions and academic institutions, they were closed all over the world, libraries were also closed. But during this pandemic, when online teaching learning started, then the students, they also require the library to provide services remotely. So that is why during this pandemic period, libraries, they have started many services, many innovative services. And one of the service which is very effective during this pandemic was providing access to the library resources and services through remote access facility. But now it is expected that even when the things are getting normal, where the universities and colleges, they are now reopening themselves. So what will be the future of library services? So whatever services we have started during the pandemic, whether they are going to be continue in the future also, or the library will come back to its normal routine and services once this pandemic will be over. So with this word, with this opening remark, now I'm going to share my screen with all of you so that I can start the presentation. Right, so just a second, let me share my PPT. I hope the PPT is coming to full screen now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic of my presentation is post-pandemic future of library services, right? So in this talk, I will discuss about some of the consequences during the pandemic, specifically when UNESCO has declared this COVID-19 as a pandemic all over the world. What type of services libraries they have started during this pandemic, and what are the services which we are looking for, specifically when we talk about the post-pandemic era, or we can say the future of library services, right? So talking about the impact of COVID-19 on education. So from this slide also you can see that when UNESCO has declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic, over 1.5 billion students from almost 165 countries, which is almost 80% of world students, are not attending school, university, and colleges. So COVID-19 has basically forced the university across the world to suspend their physical classroom and shift to collaborative online learning. This we all have experienced that what was the scenario from March 2021 onwards, where due to this pandemic, where school and colleges and other academic institutions were totally closed. Then with the help of technology, colleges, universities, and school, they have started providing online teaching learning facilities to their students. And these are some of the reports which is submitted by some various reputed organizations, whether it is UNESCO, WHO, and these are some of the findings during the COVID-19, specifically on education sector, because we all know that this pandemic has badly affected many sectors like tourism and hospitality, travel, like food industries, restaurant, and almost all the sectors they have badly affected during this COVID-19 pandemic. And one of the sector which also got very badly affected, it's called education sector. So because of this pandemic, what was the, you can say, the effect on education sector, that is reflected through some of the reports submitted by this leading prestigious associations. Like the UNESCO, they have submitted a report where they have mentioned that COVID-19 crisis has exposed the education specifically in terms of digital divide. And according to the UN, 3 billion people, they don't have internet connections. And this we have seen in many countries also, because in the newspaper, in the news channel itself, I have seen, and I'm sure that most of us, we have seen that when the teaching learning university and colleges, they have started during this pandemic with the help of IT technologies, there are many rural areas where the students, they don't have access to smartphone or laptop or iPad or tab, which they can use in terms of attending physical online classes. And if the students, they are having this facilities, they are having very poor internet connection. That is why I have seen in one of the news channel that in Kashmir, some of the students, they are climbing the mountains, and at the mountains, they are climbing on the tree and sitting there for hours and hours just to attend the online classes. So this is not case in India, but it is globally seen. And this was also observed by the report which is submitted by the UNESCO, where they have reported that more than 3 billion people, they don't have access to the digital technology. And this has really exposed the education sector, or this has really exposed the countries where this digital divide is much higher than the developed country. 92% of the university vice chancellors are more concerned about the mental health of their student and staff. This also we have observed that while attending online classes for hours and hours, there are some health issues which we have seen not only in the students but also for the teaching staff also. So various agencies, while conducting the report, they have submitted various concerns where it has been clearly reflected that COVID-19 has badly affected this education sector. And this was the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on libraries. Libraries were totally closed, specifically during the first half of lockdown, where there was almost a curfew in almost every city, and nobody is allowed to come out from their homes. In case of emergency only, they are allowed. So in that case, in the starting phase, all the education institutions, including the libraries, they were totally closed, and there was restrictions to the student and the faculties and research scholars of handling the library materials also, because when the library were totally closed, there is a no question where the student and the faculty member, they can visit the library and they can access the physical library material. So the library, they have started providing various services remotely, and they have also started providing the library facility through mobile also. Online classes, webinars, online workshop, quizzes, online meetings. This all we have observed, because before this pandemic, nobody was very much confident about using these digital platform, whether it is Zoom, whether it is Cisco WebEx, or Google Meet, or any other digital platform, although they were in the existence for a quite long time. But before this pandemic, not many people, they have actually used these platforms. But during this pandemic, even the school, they have started providing the online services using this platform. So anyhow, during this pandemic, educational institutions, they have started this facility, or they have started taking the online classes just to continue the education, not only in the primary education sector, but also in the higher education sector. And during this pandemic, we have seen that use of digital library materials has increased exponentially. You know, for many times we were talking about that libraries should focus on spending more budget in terms of subscription of digital resources. But many of the libraries, instead of spending much amount on digital resources, they continue spending their money on physical resources. But when during this pandemic, when library was totally closed and the students, they were not having access to physical collection, at that time library have realized that if we have spent more budget on digital resources, in that case we would have in a comfortable position where we can provide more digital library materials to our student. So what was the impact of COVID-19 on education? There was a shift from e-learning, from classroom learning to e-learning during this COVID-19, which actually lead to the paradigm shift in education. Now, many of the teachers are of this view that even when the things are getting back to the normal situations, e-learning will become an integral part of our teaching learning, because there are many benefits of providing online learning we have realized during this pandemic. And there was one report which is submitted by UNESCO in 2020, where it has been predicted that MOOCs and open educational resources, they will become an integral part of teaching and learning. So these are the two areas which directly relates to the library, whether we talk about the MOOCs or open educational resources, because now the university will provide the teaching learning in a blended mode, where some percentage of the syllabus they will cover through physical mode, and some percentage of the syllabus they will still continue with the online environment. So in this scenario, MOOCs and open educational resources, they are now going to become an integral part of teaching and learning. And that is why it is also predicted that role of teacher will transform into role of facilitator of knowledge, guides, mentor, e-tutor, and counselor. So for teaching positions also, the role of teacher is now going to be more complex, more challenging, because they also have to learn about various digital technology. They also have to use the MOOCs and open educational resources in terms of providing online learning materials or online teaching learning to their students. Now, with this short background about the impact of COVID-19 on education, now I am going to discuss with you some of the future library services. And it is not specifically for the university. The same will apply to colleges also, because I have seen specifically in the NIRF ranking, or specifically when NAC is giving accreditation to various autonomous college, there also now the colleges, they are now more focusing not only in terms of providing the degrees, but they are also focusing in terms of doing good quality research work. That is why even I have seen in colleges in Chandigarh, they have been accredited by NAC A++ grading. And one of the important reason was that college, they have also started publishing quality research to the reputed journal. And they are also receiving the good citations for their research work. So when we talk about the various ranking agencies, how they do ranking, and if you read the ranking methodology, whether it is Times Higher Education ranking, QS ranking, or NIRF ranking, more than 50% weightage they are giving to your research and citations. So that is why now colleges, because they also have to participate in various NIRS ranking or other ranking, they also require the funds from the funding agencies. Now they have also producing good quality research work in a quality journals. So that is why this is the area which I think is one of the very important area which library science professionals, they can explore. And you will find in future that many academic libraries, It will start from the university library, but definitely later on, college library, they will also start creating research data repository. Now, at present, we are having institutional repository. What is institutional repository? Where we are providing full text access of the intellectual content which is developed by that particular institution. So what is institutional repository? It's basically a web platform through which university, they are disseminating their unpublished work, their intellectual output, which is created by the faculty member and the research scholar, to their faculty members and their student. But here the focus is to provide full text access of all such document. But when I talk about the research data repository, this is something different from the institutional repository. And what is research data? And if you read any PhD thesis or if you read any research paper, it is generally considered that the research data is basically a soul of any PhD work. If you have collected, compiled your research data in a more scientific way, in that case only you can produce good quality research work. In that case only you can write good quality PhD thesis. Same thing applies to your research paper also. If you are having good sample size, if you have collected the data scientifically, if you have not done the fabrication or falsification or manipulation with your research data, in that case, your research paper is definitely going to be a good quality research work. So what I'm trying to say is that in the academic environment, research data plays very, very important role. So that is why now the universities, specifically in the Western countries, now they are focusing in terms of preserving their research data at institutional level. And what is research data? Research data means any data which you have collected, compiled, or analyzed during your research work. Now, for example, while doing our PhD, generally we collect the responses from our respondent in the form of questionnaire. And questionnaire is totally dependent upon your objectives and hypothesis of your PhD work. So based on our objective and hypothesis, we frame certain questions and we collect the data using this methodology. And once you submit your PhD thesis, once you publish your research paper, if I will ask you, how many of you have saved your questionnaire? The answer will be, I don't think anybody have copy of the questionnaire. And actually your research start when you circulate and collect the data using the questionnaire, because from that particular questionnaire we are entering the raw data in the Excel file, and with the use of Excel file we use certain statistical software like SPSS, so that we can draw various conclusions, we can write some discussion which is directly related to your objectives and hypothesis. But the problem is, once PhD scholar, they submit their PhD thesis, they publish their research paper, they never bother about managing their research data, because just to collect this research data, you have put your so much effort. Even you have spent days and months, you have visited many places, even you have spent good amount of money from your pocket, but nobody is caring about preserving this research data. And if the university, they will start preserving this research data, it will definitely avoid the duplicacy of research. Now, for example, if I have submitted my PhD thesis on the area of radio frequency identification, and if I will upload that particular Excel file on which I have decoded the responses which I have received through distributing the questionnaire, and if the same Excel file is accessible to other PhD scholar from the library science, and if anyone is doing PhD on RFID, then he can immediately see what type of data I have collected. So definitely he will try to frame some other objective or some other hypothesis so that there will be no duplicacy of research. And one more thing, like if I have uploaded all my research data, which I have collected, analyzed, and interpreted during the course of my PhD work, The other research scholar, they can explain the same data in some other way. Like for example, whether it is a full glass or half empty glass. You know, someone can say that ये आधा भरा हुआ glass है. Or someone can say that it is, you know, a glass with the 50% of water. So what I'm trying to say is every data is having its own interpretation. So it's vary from person to person how they are interpreting the same data. So that is why universities and academic institutions all over the world, now they are focusing in terms of preserving the research data. So being a library science professional, even I suggest many young library science scholars to do PhD on this particular area because it's a very new topic. And if you take the new topic and if you will suggest a proper roadmap, or if you will frame the perfect guidelines for the institutions who are interested in implementing this research data management, your PhD is going to be a value addition for them. Your PhD is going to have a very good worth in terms of implementing your suggestion in a more practical way. So now the universities and colleges, they are encouraging their students to upload their research data on various research data repository. And one of the research data repository name is Figshare. Now there are two ways for creating your research data repository. Similar with institutional repository, you can create your own platform and you can motivate your research scholar to upload their research data in your own institutional repository platform or your own data repository platform. But for taking certain type of initiative, it requires good amount of money, good technical knowledge, and good time. But just to start about giving the feeling about what is the importance of preserving your research data into such research data repository, we are basically motivating our student and faculty member to preserve this valuable research data. So Figshare is one of the biggest repository which researchers all over the world, they are using in terms of managing their research data. And if your institution or college is interested in having the MOU with Figshare, or there is another repository, it's called Dataverse, which is basically a project of some of the universities, collective effort of some of the topmost universities of UK. So they are providing a facility where institution they can sign the MOU with these data repository, and you can start uploading your research data on these Figshare repository. And from this slide also you can see that more than 7.5 million downloads it is already having as far as research data is concerned, and more than 8 lakh researchers all over the world, they have uploaded their research data into this repository. And uploading the research data is a very simple step. So these are step-by-step guidelines through which it is clearly reflected that if any researcher they want to upload the research data, it is very easy. And once you will upload your research data after giving proper metadata to your research data, it will create a persistent URL in the form of DOI. So if anybody will cite your data while writing their research paper, you will receive a data citation. For example, this is one of the research paper which is published in one of the Elsevier journal. So when you go to the references part, the first reference is not about any full text paper. It is not about any PhD thesis. It is not about any book chapter or conference proceeding. They have cited one Excel file which this researcher has uploaded. So as I mentioned earlier, that the same data, it can have a different meaning, different interpretation. So now the researcher, they are not only interested in terms of downloading your full paper. They are interested in downloading your raw data, your research data. And this is the perfect example. So that is why the researcher all over the world, they are uploading their research data. So once you upload your research data, it becomes your property. So if anyone in the future, they will use your research data, they have to give citation. Or if they will not give the citation and they will use your research data, then it will be considered as a case of academic fraud or plagiarism. So this is one of the area, or I can say a future service, which most of the university libraries will see after this post-pandemic era, right? So you all are very young library science professionals, so you can read about this research data management topic, right? Even I have delivered many lectures on this particular topic, because when I was in UK for this Commonwealth Fellowship, practically I have seen many universities, how they are implementing this thing. So in some of my lectures, I have discussed about the practicality in terms of implementing the research data repository. Now talking about one of the technology or service which is going to, we can see in future, that is called near field communication. What is NFC? It's basically alternative to RFID in libraries. Now during this pandemic, one of the prominent service which user all over the world, they have appreciated, it's called RFID. Even in our university, we have implemented this technology in 2010. So during the partial lockdown, where the academic institutions, they are open partially, like with the certain limitations also, we have opened our library. So for issuing and returning purpose, where the staff and users, they are afraid of contacting each other, this is the service which users, they have used very frequently, getting the book issued and returned with the help of RFID technology. And I don't think there is a need to explain about this technology, because we all are saying this technology for a quite number of years. But the technology which is going to replace RFID, it's called near field communication. And I have written one research paper during this lockdown only, which is published in one of the American Library Association journal. And this journal is a more than 50-year-old journal. And I think they are taking very few papers from India, specifically in the library science. So if you are interested in reading about this technology, you can download. You can simply go to Google, type this NFC and type my name. You can download the full paper. But what is NFC? It's basically a similar technology, very similar to the barcode. So it works on the same principle which RFID is already working. So it's basically auto identification technology, right? But the basic difference between the RFID and NFC is, RFID, you can contact the object using different frequency, right? If there is a self-check station, and if you are keeping the book 3 feet away from that particular pad or antenna, in that case also it will read the object, because here we are providing an option where the RFID components, they can read the object within 3 feet distance. But the limitation, or you can say the problem with this RFID technology is, it's a very costly technology. But because most of the smartphones of some good companies, they are already having inbuilt NFC reader. Now, before understanding this NFC technology, you have to understand in a very quick manner how RFID system basically work. So in RFID system, what we are doing, we are pasting one tag to each and every book, and we are having the self-check station. So when you paste the tag in any book, in that particular tag, there are two objects. One is called memory or chip, and one is antenna. So in the memory, generally we are feeding the accession number of book, because parallel to this accession number, all the bibliographical details is already there in the library management software. And we are also having self-check station. Self-check station is again having a pad, which is basically enabled with the antenna. So when you take the book from the shelf and put that particular book on RFID self-check unit, so there is a communication between the RFID tag between the antenna which is placed on RFID self-check station and the library management software. And this communication, it helps so fast, or the communication take place in a very speedy manner, that without knowing anything, the system cell, the library management sends signals to the RFID component that this is the book which is available in the library, and he is authorized member of our library. So the system issued the book into that particular user's account. And when you pass through the security gate, and security gate is again having the different antennas played at the top, middle, and the lower position. So when user passes through that security gate, and if you have issued the book properly, in that case, the tag which we have placed on the book, it got deactivated. And once the tag is deactivated, then it is not able to send any signal. So when it is not sending any signal, so the antenna which is placed on the security gates, they can't find any communication. In that case, there will be no alarm. But suppose if you want to steal some book from the library and you are passing through the security gates, that in that case, the tag is at the activated stage. So in that case, the tag will send some signals to the antenna, and the trigger will alarm at the security gate, and the security personnel will immediately come to know that you are not issued the book properly and you are taking away this book without issuing the book properly. So this is how RFID take place. But in that case, the component of RFID, specifically the self-check station or book drop station, where there is a reader that is called RFID reader, it's very costly. So now how Western libraries, they are replacing NFC with the RFID, because now every users or most of the users, they are having the smartphone. So if you are having any smartphone which is of Samsung, Google Nexus, Nokia, and there is a long list of smartphone providers where they are providing this NFC reader inbuilt in your mobile phone. So if you will see any signal with capital N at the top of your mobile screen, that means that particular mobile is having the NFC reader. So how we can use this technology in the library, this I have already explained to you. Now, how it is going to replace the barcode, RFID. So suppose in case of NFC, now you have pasted the RFID tag on each and every book. So suppose I am the authorized user of the library. So now if my phone is having the NFC reader, so you can scan that particular tag with the help of your mobile phone. Now in case of NFC, you have to replace the RFID tag with the NFC tag. And these NFC tags, they are very, very cheaper as compared to RFID tags. So now if any library, they want to implement NFC, so what they can do is they can place the NFC tag on the book. And suppose I'm authorized user of my library and I want to get this book issued in my account. So in that case, you can simply scan the book using your mobile phone, because that phone is having the NFC reader. Now you can ask me certain questions that it will be an illegal use, anybody can issue the book. All sort of practical implications or all sort of practical limitations is possible. You can apply so many restrictions while using this NFC technology, and that restrictions you have to do in your library management software. So I'm just giving you overview how NFC is going to replace the RFID technology. And most of the Western countries, they have successfully implemented it. So the user, they can scan the book, and when the user will pass through that security gate, it will not trigger any alarm. So in that case, you are saving huge amount of money in terms of implementing the RFID live technology in your library. So this is a future library service or future library technology, which is going to replace RFID in big university libraries or academic libraries. right? So similar to RFID tag, NFC tags, they are also having the similar type of standards and frequencies. But one of the advantages, cost, because when you compare the cost of NFC tag with the RFID tag, NFC tag is on cheaper side. And this is how this technology basically works. And you can use this technology in terms of providing various library services. Even if you have experience of going to the movie theaters. Now, previous to this NFC technology, you have to scan the barcode. But now some good theaters, they have started this facility where on the poster of the film, they have embedded the NFC tag. Because your mobile phone is having NFC reader, you can scan that particular tag and it will display all the details, whether you have purchased the ticket or not, whether you are entering in the right time slot or not. Because this technology is successfully they are using in some other sector. And this is the basically a difference. And these are the some applications of NFC, which we can see, like mobile payment, access and authentication. Now, many libraries, they are having problem of not allowing non-registered member in the library. So if you can build access management system where only those users which are authorized, they can scan their phone with that particular access management system. And here you can, stop entering non-member of your library. Mobile marketing, gaming, there are many sectors where you can use this technology. So in coming year or in future, you will see this technology in many libraries very soon. So this is some other applications which you can use. Now, open access resources. Now, I'm sure that Sarika ma'am must have discussed about the open access publishing model. But this is, again, a very important area which libraries they are going to focus. Because during this pandemic, we have realized that now the library will face some financial constraints also. And once you will face the financial constraint, then definitely you have to move toward the open access resources. In our library also, we are making some policies where we will have more focus on providing access to open access resources. So these are some of the tricks you can say, which you can use personally or you can educate your user in terms of downloading millions of research paper. I don't know whether you are familiar with this Copper Neo or EndNote Click or not. It's basically an extension which you can find in a Chrome web store. Excuse me, hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so now how you can contribute to this open access. Now in colleges, one of the major barrier is college libraries, they don't have a funds like university libraries where they can have access of Science Direct or Cambridge University Press or Oxford University Press research journals, because there are certain limitations. So in that case also, if you're working in a college library and suppose if any researcher, they have requested one of the research paper which is published in the Elsevier journal. So how you can help your researcher? So what you can do is simply go to Chrome Web Store and simply add this extension to your Chrome browser. And once this extension will be added, suppose this is the paper which is published in Elsevier journal. And if you are not having access of full text of this research paper, it will ask you to deposit or to pay $37. But if you have access of this extension that is called EndNote Click, it is basically an extension which is developed by Clarivate. So the same paper you can download with the help of this EndNote Click. Now you can ask me a question, sir, you are telling me the illegal way of downloading the research paper. It is not illegal because how this extension basically works. So when you are searching for any, just a second. So how this technology basically works, suppose you are looking for one research paper. So this extension will pick the DOI and immediately it will access in various open access repository. Now suppose I am the author of this research paper and the full text I have uploaded on ResearchGate. So this extension will immediately find this paper on ResearchGate, and when you click on this full text, you can download the same paper. So I'm not saying that in 100% case, you will have access to all the publisher's version of research paper. But in case of 60 to 70%, you can use this extension in terms of downloading research paper. Now, core and crossref. If you are having access of these two databases, which is considered as one of the biggest repository of open access content, you can satisfy the information requirement of your user, whether they are from colleges, university, or any other level. Because these repositories are basically compiling and managing the open access scholarly content which is published in various journals across the world. And some of the websites, I think you must be aware, from where you can help your researcher in terms of downloading the full text books like PDF Drive. Right. So these are some of the things which any librarian, whether you are college or university librarian, you can take certain initiatives and you can start educating your students about such platform. Now, one of the services which was very effective during this pandemic was virtual reference service. And this is going to be continued in the future also, because during this pandemic where the students and the reference librarian, they are not having one-to-one interaction or physical interaction with the student. They have started providing the virtual reference service like email, web form, chat reference using simple technology. Now, one of the universities in UK, they have started a chatbot service, which is basically an example of robotics. So they have placed a very basic robot at the entrance of the library, and they have entered answers to very simple questions. Like if you are maintaining a logbook at your reference desk, like how many questions, how many reference questions you have received in a day. So what this service is about, they have compiled the user query of the last 10 years, and they have entered the answer to all the query. So suppose I'm a new member in the library and I'm entering the library and I'm asking to the robot whether from where I can get the library science book. So immediately it will reply that library science book is available at the first floor in the stack area 10. And the DDC number of library science subject is 020. So this is how we can use the technology in terms of providing virtual reference services. Because if you observe in any university and colleges, the students, they are asking the repetitive questions. So if you are involving yourself in terms of giving answer to all the repetitive questions, it's a totally wastage of time. So that is why now the libraries, they are using the robot in terms of providing virtual reference service. So the college librarians also, you can start the service where they can contact you through email, you can create some ask a librarian sort of web form, and you can open a chat service using Google, and you can provide a virtual reference service on 9 to 5 basis or some extended hour basis. Plagiarism detection tools, this is again a very important area where the library science professionals, they can lead from the front. We can educate our students about what is plagiarism, right? So I'm not going to discuss in detail about what is plagiarism, but what I'm trying to say is UGC has notified the regulation which is now applicable to all the universities. So if your college is an approved research center of your affiliating university and your student are doing the PhD work, in that case, you can give lectures or you can educate them about the plagiarism. And then you can also discuss about how they can prevent the plagiarism, and you can discuss about the various anti-plagiarism tools. So basically it is divided into two categories. First is called commercial tool like Turnitin, Orkun, we all know. And the second is open access plagiarism detection tool. So all these are very good website or tools in terms of checking the plagiarism of the research manuscript. So such type of services you can also start, where you can offer the similarity checks facility to your student. And this is again a very important service which we are seeing in many universities, but in future also we will see that more and more librarians, they are involved in providing such type of services. Like this is the screenshot of some of the website which you can use in terms of checking the similarity of any research manuscript. Then another area where the librarians, they can lead from the front is called enhancing the visibility of scientific research. Now this is the news or the article once it got published in this PLOS Biology journal, where they have rated top 2% scientists in the world. Many universities, they have started publishing the news where they are honoring their faculty member who got featured in this list. But what happened in my university, once this news got published, many senior professors, they met Vice Chancellor and they said that how it is possible that junior faculty member, they got featured in this list, but my name was missing. So Vice Chancellor has given me this responsibility to do further investigation about this particular area. So when I have started doing the research on this particular topic, then I come to know that these are the indicators. And these are the indicators which is basically we call as a scientometric study, which the same metrics this Stanford teams they have used, and they have rated top 2% scientists in the world. Right. So I have extracted the data from some of our top faculty member, and while calculating the various metrics like the H index, total citation where author is a first author, total citation where that faculty member is a corresponding author. And after extracting the data from Scopus, I have calculated using the same formula. Then with this team, I have communicated that in your study, you have only given acknowledgement to 11 faculty member of Punjab University. But there is a shortcoming in your study because there are still 16 faculty members. And as per your formula, you must include them in a top 2% scientists in the world. And with my investigation, with my email, they have updated their study. And then it was in the news that earlier it was only 11 faculty members. Now Punjab University are having 27 scientists who got featured in this list. But once this study got published, now many faculty members, now they are approaching me, Neeraj, how we can increase the citation of your research paper? How we can increase our H index? How we can increase our I10 index? So this is the area where the library science professional, they can lead from the front, and you can start the service where you can educate your faculty member how they can enhance the visibility of their scientific research. Because there are many studies where it has been proven that when you start making your research visible to the academic community, you will have higher downloads. And when you will have higher downloads, definitely it will going to impact your citation. And once you will have more citation, it will give you recognition. So we can educate our students, our faculty member about making their research available or accessible in open access environment. And then we can discuss with them about the concept of research visibility, and we can create different research IDs, or we can educate them how they can create their org ID, how they can create their researcher ID, so that the faculty members or researcher all over the world, they will come to know like what type of research that faculty member from Punjab University or Mumbai University has published. They can create their Google Scholar profile. So these all are the tools which we are using for so many years. We are doing so many scientometric study. But one of the drawback of scientometric study, it is basically we are using for research paper writing purpose only. We are not giving the practical benefit of this particular concept in our university. But if you will start educating your teacher and faculty member that it is not only about publishing your research paper using the scientometric, but you can use these researcher ID, you can use these metrics in terms of enhancing your research visibility, in terms of enhancing the impact of your research. That is definitely going to reflect, that is definitely going to enhance the reputation and perception of your university. And once the perception and reputation of your university and college will increase, definitely it is going to make a good impact in your college, NIRF or other ranking. So this is again a very good service or future service, which I am saying that many library science professionals, they can start it or they can provide to their faculty member. And one of the service which I have started in Punjab University, it's called IRINS. It's basically a free service which is provided through internet, by the InflibNet, where you can create a research portal for your university. All your research publications of different faculty member, which is scattered in different platform, you can collect and put it in a single platform so that the academicians from other countries, they will come to know what type of quality research Punjab University is producing. So this is a service. You can simply go to the InflibNet website, and if your university have not started this service, you can contact the InflibNet people and they will guide you, they will help you in terms of starting this research information management system at your institutional level. So thank you very much for listening to me. That's it from my side, but still we are having few minutes. If you want to ask any question or if you have any query related to my presentation, you can ask. Yes, anyone.
हेलो, किसी के क्वेश्चंस अगर हैं तो कृपया वो पूछ लीजिए। प्लीज किसी के क्वेश्चंस हैं तो कृपया पूछ लीजिए।
Yes, Mr. Kishore. Yes. Sir, unmute yourself. You're muted. Yeah, host, you can please unmute Mr. Kishore. If there is a limitation or restriction, participant, they can't unmute themselves. So host, if you can unmute. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Very nice session and interesting session, sir. You have done a fabulous session. Sir, I have a question regarding your one slide, NFC.
Yes.
Sir, I want to ask some questions regarding NFC. What is the difference between, sir, NFC and QR code? Because QR code is one of the alternate of NFC. So basically, what is the main difference? Can you, sir, please elaborate this?
Yeah. You know, with the help of QR code, the purpose of QR code is, like earlier, if you want to save some URL, like for example, we are doing the bookmarking, so that there is no need to pen it down the URL of that particular website. So library, they have started creating the QR code. Now, suppose if I want to organize one event, now, for example, this is the webinar or national symposium, where you are requesting the participant to register themselves online. So what is the method? You can directly give the link where they can click and they can register themselves, or you can create a QR code. So once they will scan the QR code, it will directly take to the registration page. So this is basically an identification facility which you can use in terms of knowing about the content. But the difference between the NFC and the QR code is, with the help of NFC, you can start using the library facilities. Like for example, with the help of QR code, you can't do issue and return.
Yes.
Because you can't integrate the QR code with your library management system. But with the help of NFC, what you can do is, NFC will provide you option where you can integrate your library management system with the NFC device, and you can start providing the library services. Like, it is not only about the issue and return. Now, suppose I am having 100 rupees fine. Now I want to make the fine. So in that case, what you can do is, if you can create a counter where, just like, we are scanning the QR code through Google Pay or Paytm, the amount is credited to the vendor's account. So similar type of facility you can start, because all the smartphone, they are having NFC reader or NFC scanner. They can make the payment using this NFC technology. So this is the difference between QR code and the NFC. NFC is basically a replacement of RFID, because it has the capability where it will work on certain standards, frequencies. There is a possibility that you can integrate this technology with your library management system, with your server, and you can start providing various services.
Should they have some just like RFID wants some tag for the book issue?
Yes.
Including NFC required for that?
Yes, because if you want to implement the NFC, then there is a separate NFC tags,
okay,
which you have to paste on the RFID or on the books.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further query?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Today's session was very wonderful, sir. And I also want to thank Dr. Sarika Sawant ma'am, Dr. Meghna Sanjeevani ma'am, and you, sir, for the wonderful session. And we got to know many things, sir. Actually, my one question was, as our topic is academic libraries in COVID-19, and as you know, we are facing a pandemic from last 2 years.
Right.
And academic libraries have to face, college libraries have to face NAC, sir. So all this technology, how helpful it will be for our NAC visit, sir?
Okay. Like if you read the methodology of NAC, specifically in the library context, so they have clearly mentioned that when they will visit the library, what they are going to see in colleges and what they are going to see in the universities. So their focus is, like, if you are providing the digital services, if your library is automated, if you have created some institutional repository, if you are helping your researcher and your faculty members in terms of providing various services, that is definitely going to make a very good impression on the team. Even when the NAC team, they visit to our library, first they go and do the physical inspection. And once they are done with the physical inspections, they will definitely ask, what is your budget? And within this budget, what type of resources you are subscribing? Is there any collection development policy in your university? How you are selecting the resources for your faculty member? What type of initiatives you have taken during the last 3 years? What is your vision for the upcoming 3 years? How you are going to manage the library services within the limitations of budget? So if you have started any innovative services, if you are providing digital services, automated services to your user, and I will recommend you that you go to the NAC website. There is a separate column about the libraries. So you first check what criteria you are fulfilling and what are the areas on which you have to work hard. Right. So if you are providing the services as per their expectation, then definitely they will give very good weightage to the library. And once they will give weightage to the library, overall it will impact the overall grading of your institution.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your answer.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, no, you have discussed about the research data management for the researcher or any research who are doing their research.
Right.
So it is not now mandatory to publish or public your research data in public platform. So by the listening your talk, I would think about that. If it is become necessary to publish research data which you are using to write that article,
right,
it will improve the transparency and authenticity of particular research article. So we can think about that to it become mandatory to publish the research data with their article, or it will obviously you have added that it will got the citation also. So it will give the transparency and authenticity of particular research article. So it may be mandatory. What is your take on that? It is valid or not?
Yes, yes. I think you have asked very good question. Now, if you see that some of the funders, if you see the funders policies, they have clearly mentioned that whatever research finding you will publish, it must be on an open access platform. So if there is a mandatory clause by the funders, in that case, you have to upload your research data. But now if you see the publication trend, specifically if you want to publish your research paper in some reputed journal, let's take example of PLOS One. It is one of the reputed journal in the field of medical sciences. Now, what is the mandatory clause if you want to publish? That whatever research paper you are uploading, you have to upload the raw research data also, so that they can 100 times validate whether the findings and discussions you are writing in your research paper, it is correlating with your research data or not, because there are many cases of falsification, fabrication. So now some of the publishers, they have started taking the research data, and their purpose is to check the authenticity of your research paper, because you might have seen that there are many cases where data manipulation and fabrication take place. Still, many government institutions, specifically university and UGC, they have not made it as a mandatory condition. But I'm sure that once this topic will discuss among the top academicians or top bureaucrats, in that case, definitely they are going to make it mandatory, because earlier submitting your PhD thesis in Shodh Ganga repository was not a mandatory clause, but now UGC has made it mandatory. So you never know that in future UGC or some other higher bodies, they will make as a mandatory clause before awarding your PhD degree or before publishing your research paper. In that scenario, definitely the more and more university will start creating this as their policy matter. But right now, it is a not mandatory requirement by any university. Yes, some funding agencies, some publishers, they have started making it mandatory. But I'm expecting that in coming year, you will find that this will be as one of the mandatory clause for all the researchers.
Because sir, I have faced the issue while I am reading the article, and I want to correlate the result with existing data. I'm not able to, because data is not available with me.
Yes.
So I thought that it would be available with me, and then I can correlate and authenticate that result is correct or not, and I can implement or not.
Very good. Yes. So this is the problem which researcher and the editors, they are also facing. So I'm very much sure that in coming years, you will find that many researchers, they will start upload their research data along with their full text paper.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, any further query?
Okay, any question, please? Okay. ओके, थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू। आपने इस सत्र के माध्यम से यहाँ पर पोस्ट पैंडेमिक फ्यूचर ऑफ लाइब्रेरी सर्विसेज इस विषय के माध्यम से आपने बहुत ही बढ़िया, यहाँ पर मैं तो कहूँगा बहुत ही ज्ञानवर्धक आपका व्याख्यान यहाँ रहा है। आपने यहाँ पर ज्ञान अमृत भरा व्याख्यान जो प्रस्तुत किया है, इसके लिए मैं हमारे महाविद्यालय की ओर से सहे दिल से आपका यहाँ पर शुक्रिया व्यक्त करता हूँ, आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। और साथ ही इस सत्र के समापन के लिए हमारे प्राध्यापक एस पाड़गांवकर सर, इनको मैं निवेदन करता हूं कि वो वोट ऑफ थैंक्स यहाँ पर प्रस्तुत करें। पाड़गांवकर सर।
Thank you, sir. This opportunity to propose vote of thanks. I thank to librarian AC Joshi, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and resource person of the seminar for addressing the participants on post-pandemic future of library sciences. I am also very grateful for his analysis on impact of COVID-19 pandemic on education sector and also on libraries. Various technologies like EndNote, Click, Core, CrossNet, RFID, NFC, MOOCs, and open learning resources were discussed in his guidance. He has also discussed about increasing in quality of research. I also thank Dr. Sarika Sawant, Assistant Professor SHPT School of Library Sciences, SNDT Women's University Mumbai, and keynote speaker of the seminar for sharing your views. I also thank Dr. Meghna Sanjeeva, librarian, Vivekanand Education Society's College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Mumbai, and the resource person of the seminar for guiding the participants on services extended by the library during pandemic. I, on behalf of Navaniman Shikshan Sanstha's Lakshmibai Sitaram Halbe College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Sindhudurga, would like to thank ICSSR WRC Mumbai for providing financial assistance to organize this e-conference on academic library in COVID-19 pandemic. I also extend my thanks to our patron, Mr. Abhijit Hikshete, Dr. Subhash Sawant, Principal, Lakshmibai Sitaram Halbe College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Dodamar, and also entire staff of the college for their enormous cooperation in organizing this event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Should I leave?
Yes, sir. You may leave now. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.